What's happening? All right, here we go. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Y'all couldn't hear me, man. I'm sorry about that. And as I was saying, man, y'all come on in. Welcome to Lil Jay Show. Tonight we got a lot to talk about. And trust me, you're gonna want to stay to the end. And as you come in, hit that like button, share this live. Now listen, before we get into everything tonight, I want everybody to understand something. On this show, we're going to talk about the facts, the questions, and what people are saying. And we're not gonna call rumors facts. And I already know some of y'all got opinions. So get in that chat. I want to hear what y'all think. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Welcome to the Lil Jay Show family. Become part of the J Crew. All right, y'all. So let's get into it. First off, I want to say rest in peace to Nolan Wells. And I'm gonna start off with showing his picture because we gotta keep this case going. Got to keep it hot, keep his name alive, keep it going because eventually people stop talking about it, and then it goes cold. They want to start. They want to act like they forgot, get amnesia. There's some other stuff that's going on in this world, but we need to find justice for Nolan Wells. Rest in peace, Nolan Wells. So I want to start out with his picture. Like I said in my last live, every time, even my boy it look like he getting ready to go to the prom, I believe. But he got that phone in his hand, so I just don't believe that he would have left that phone on that boat, as they're saying. Even this lady here in the comments says phone in hand, teens are really without it. And she just says, may God surround you and your family with love. But you know what I'm saying? Teens don't really have them. They're rarely without their phones. And if they do, then you know what I'm saying, they crying and whining about it. They want to go, you know what I'm saying, you drive off, going somewhere, they want to turn, I forgot my phone. Turn around, gotta go back to the house, get the phone, you know what I'm saying? You people has got children. Yeah, I know what I'm talking about. There's some few things I seen on Instagram that I want to look at too before we actually get into all this stuff here. The rumor is Red Mouth Sharpton, they trying to sue him. And I don't know what for. They said they were talking about Ben Crump at first. But shoot, man, I guess I feel like Sharpton just don't have the time. He hasn't really been too much involved in it like Ben Crump, or either they scared of Ben Crump, one of the two. But now they going after Red Mile. And I want to show this too. I know this was out a few weeks ago, but you know, here it is where Ben Crump is shouting out the content creators and everything. It says Attorney Ben Crump defends First Amendment rights of content creators, reporting on the Nolan Wells case. Now, shout out Ben Crump. Attorney Ben Crump stands with content creators, independent journalists, and citizens who are responsibly reporting on the Nolan Wells case and asking legitimate questions in pursuit of the truth and accountability. The First Amendment protects robust public discussions on matters of public concerns, and those protections are not reserved for traditional media. So shout out to Ben Crump, man. You know what I'm saying? He riding for us. Once that we are deeply concerned when cease and desist letters threaten lawsuits or legal pressures other legal pressures become tools to intimidate or silence lawful scrutiny. There is an important difference between knowingly spreading false information and asking questions, examining evidence, identifying inconsistencies, expressing opinions, or demanding transparency. So you know what I'm saying? My man's going. You know what I'm saying? He's really he's standing up for the people because they trying to shut us down, right? Let me get my thing. Yeah, they trying to shut us down. They don't want us talking about it. It says reporting. Let me fix my mic. Reporting should not be silenced, and legitimate questions should not be met with intimidation. Those seeking the truth and accountability in the Nolan Wells case have every right to continue asking questions and demanding answers. Ain't that the truth? So shout out to Ben Crump. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Ben Crump. I know this was out. It was put out um probably a few weeks ago. I wanted to go ahead and just put it back up, man, because you know he riding. Just want to let y'all know he riding for us. He riding for us. So is. Let me see what else I want to put up on this thing right here. And shout out to Nolan Wells' mom, Christina Walmsley. Christina Walmsley. Shout out to you, man. I really hope you get the justice. I hope y'all get the justice that y'all are very much well deserved. So tonight we're gonna be talking about this lady too. There's the lady actually in Atlanta. She's kind of some kind of journalist. I think she's going to school for law as well. But she's calling out old Tatum. She wants to debate him. You know what I'm saying? She wants to debate him. So we're gonna be talking about a few things she said today too. But here's one where she's like calling him out. Check this out. Her name is Teslin Figueroa. I don't Figueroa. I'm sorry. I might be just slandering your name, murdering your name, but I am so sorry. It says it says slams Brandon Tatum after his super ghetto remarks. Demands Nolan Wells debate, and he won't do it. He's scared to go up against this black lady. I've heard her speak. She's very intelligent, very smart lady, and she stand on business for real, for real. She stands on business. So says the political strategist is challenging Tatum to face her directly over his coverage over the Nolan Wells case, as she described her as super ghetto. Huh? Can you believe this man? But he won't go up against her. Cause he know she gonna make him look like an ass. She's gonna make him look like a straight ass. You know what I'm saying? He sit up there and try to pick on these small content creators. Go against this lady right here. And go live when y'all do it too, man. She been calling him out and he won't do it. Cause he know she gonna make him look like straight ass. Yeah, so shout out to Tez, man. I've heard her speak on a few channels. I seen her on Willie D show the other day, and she was really like cooking. Hey, so I showed this the other day. I'm gonna play this bad boy again, man. This is funny to me, man. This is like really funny to me. Hold on, let me see if I can find this bad boy. I like that, man. Just a little sense of humor, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? So, cause everything is just so serious now. You know what I mean? Check this black dude out. He jump into this. I guess they having some kind of live in Iran. So why he jump on these random Iran people's live? Well, check this dude out. Hold on, let me see if I can play this.
Hey, whatever he said, you don't got no question again.
Check this shit out.
Looking at that nigga. Boy, y'all thought this shit was a game. But we do not want that smoke with y'all. Oh God, we do not want that smoke with y'all.
Man, that shit funny.
Hey,
right
whatever
there.
he said,
You need some
you don't got no
laughter
question
nowadays.
again.
Why's this shit?
Looking at that nigga. Boy,
Oh
y'all
my
thought this shit was a
God.
game. But we do not want that smoke with y'all. Oh God, we do not want that smoke with y'all.
He had
Hey,
them
whatever he
fools
said,
turned
you don't got no question again.
up. Oh yeah, that's crazy, man. It's a little louder, man. We need that nowadays. You know what I'm saying? There's too much seriousness, too much craziness going on in the world. I seen this too. I want to show this too as well. Check out this man's shirt. It say "Dear Racists in America." It says "Your car is Japanese, beer is Mexican, oil is Canadian, fashion is French, vodka is Russian." Ain't that the truth? And you sitting up there. And then it say something about I can't see it that good, but it say the land you live on is Native American. So how can you sit up here and be racist? Everything you got, basically, everything that you use, basically, is not from the United States. Everything is from other countries. So he right on that. He is right on that. Let's see what else I found on this bad boy. Before we get into this, hey man, y'all hit the like button, share this live. Hit the like button, share this live. I seen this little black chick too. She was kind of spinning a little game as well, man. So let's listen to her real quick.
Louisiana Senate is trying to bring back slavery in every definition of the word in a very Republican move. They just passed a bill that makes it a crime to be homeless. House Bill 211 would force unhoused people to choose between jail or involuntary treatment. Oh, and also, they would make the homeless people pay for it. If they can't pay, they would be forced to perform unpaid labor. I made a video recently talking about the racist anti-Black vagrancy laws and how historically being poor and Black was criminalized. The bill stands on the shoulders of Louisiana's long history of white supremacy and is a continuation of the Jim Crow laws that shackled our ancestors. This bill perpetuates a cycle of oppression, turning human beings into commodities to be exploited because no matter how you word it, it is 2026 slavery. Mind you, in that same hearing, hypocrisy rained down because Louisiana lawmakers voted to give themselves $1,000 to cover certain housing expenses because, of course, housing is too expensive. That is a slap in the face to every struggling family, individual, and constituent who is fighting for survival in this economy. And if you live in Louisiana, you can contact your House members to block this mandate from becoming law before it's too late. But what I want you to do is I want you to remember the primaries are happening right now all over the country, and the midterms are coming up in just 6 months. Our power is at the polls. We need to lock in because this might be the biggest, most important election of our lifetime. Everything you care about is on the ballot this November. All 435 seats in the House of Representatives and a third of the Senate seats. My name is Augusta Renee, and I hope you have the day you voted for. And if you do not vote, you are going to have the day that somebody else did. So the Louisiana.
Hey, so what y'all think, man? Y'all think that's modern day slavery? And then, I seen this lady up here in the chat. It says, I wonder how that's gonna work out when the homeless decide not to do it. Because a lot of people that is homeless, man, they decide they want to live like that. It's not because it's a few out there that just struggling and really can't make it that have no choice. But a few of them downtown Atlanta, they say they love living out like that. You know what I mean? So they don't have no bills, and then a lot of them get a little check, so they get their money on the first or whatever, and they go do what they want to do. They ain't got to worry about bills and none of that. But what y'all think, man? Y'all think this is modern day slavery? Let me know. Let me see. Let's check out something else. Hey, y'all hit that like button, man. Subscribe to the channel. Become part of the J Crew. Let's see. Oh, I seen this too, man. They talking about eggs. This is crazy right here. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see. Check this out, y'all.
So, Pepper Pig, what do we do to get Mrs. Murray back?
Save the magic words! And that is the end of the show! Good night, everyone!
That was a wonderful day. I can't see how it could be any worse. So,
Man, that's crazy. I don't know if they can. You think y'all think they can do that with eggs? They can make eggs like that. I know they talking about this meat, man. They trying to make meat or something like that. I know it was one guy that was showing like the different ways you can tell like meat from an animal and a meat that I guess they so called made. But that's crazy, man. If they really doing that. And I seen this one too. This is wild. I'm gonna talk about this too as well. So say underage girls as 13 are testing positive for pregnancy in the U.S. immigration custody and being quietly moved to one Texas facility. So I guess they saying that these them border patrol agents or ICE agents are sleeping with these young girls. That's crazy. If that's true, that is crazy. So they getting them and these young girls, these ICE agents, these border patrol agents, they getting them, putting them in these little facilities and messing with them on you know what I'm saying on the low. That is crazy, man. There's some sick people in this world, man. And then I mean, I wouldn't doubt it because they hired racist cops, so they probably are hiring pedophiles. Let me see. Oh yeah, this Elon Musk thing too. I want to talk about that as well. Let's see. So it's the Elon Musk calls out Derek Chauvin to be freed. Says he was unjustly convicted for killing George Floyd. That is crazy. This is something else. I mean, what is this world coming to, man? I mean, that was like on video. Everybody, the whole world saying that. You know what I'm saying? That was an M to the fullest. And he's talking about he was unjustly convicted. But we all know, you know what I'm saying, this man right here is what I don't know what he is. Is he Russian or something like that? I don't know what his nationality is, but you know, we already know he's racist. I think they said that he was like trying to go before some kind of court, Supreme Court or something to try to ban black people from buying his regular ass Teslas. That's messed up, man. And I know he said something about he wanted to free the other officer, the one that killed Sonya Massey. And that too, that's really crazy because I believe that lady did see something when she started hollering. She rebuke you. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. I think she seen some demons in them police officers to make her say that. And she was, you know what I'm saying. I don't think she was gonna pour that hot water. She was just moving it. And for him to just do that, unalive her, hit her in her face like that, man, that's crazy. Uh, I believe she's saying something. And some people, you know, we always look, some people will say some outrageous ass crap, and we look at them like, man, they crazy. Or they might say they seen something. Some people can see things. You know, like the little Tony guy, the little rapper. He said he seen a demon in a man. You know, if y'all go check that out, little shout out to little Tony, man. He's I think he's doing Christian rap now. But he said he was hired for a photo shoot, man, and the guys that hired him, man, they was part of Illuminati. He said dude had face like kind of morphed. He said it looked like that Venom, the little thing on Venom, man. He's like shit. But y'all check that out. This is crazy the way he tells that story. Now, let me see. Oh yeah, this right here too, man. Trump ass. They talking about he was all up in. I guess he was all up in them Epstein files. So I seen this too. Let's check this out.
So why are Republicans so interested in Bill and Hillary Clinton? It's because they're trying to distract from the fact that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files thousands and thousands of times. In those files, there's highly disturbing allegations of Donald Trump raping children.
Wow.
Of Donald Trump threatening to kill children. So I encourage your press to go look at these allegations. And I'm highly disturbed that Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche just got the law wrong. Yesterday, he said, essentially,
that's crazy.
So why?
If that is true, man, the people that voted for him, man, are just, that's sickening, man. Somebody raping children. Raping children. You believe that? The president. If that's true, man, he's the dang president of the United States. I mean, just think about that. His ass need to get up out of there. I really, if when his term is over, they need to go ahead and I guess put this stuff out, man, and put him on trial. Let's see if some of this stuff is true that's going on, man. It's too much, man. And I'm pretty sure he was in them Epstein files. They said it was a lot of pictures that was shown with him hanging out with the guy. So I'm gonna look at this little demand letter here. This is something part of what I'm gonna talk about tonight as well. So y'all go ahead and hit that like button, man. Subscribe to the channel, become a part of the J Crew. Excuse me. So it says lawyers announced they will be sending a demand letter to Al Sharpton on behalf of men connected to the Nolan Wells matter. Sharpton responds, I welcome the lawsuit. That any person who's with Nolan Wells will be forced to answer questions under oath. Oh yeah, that's from Tez. Shout out to Tez. I said, man, that's the lady that I was talking about a little earlier, man. She wants to debate Tatum's ass, and he won't do it. Cause he know she gonna make him look like a damn fool, and he won't do it. She really wants to debate. She been calling him out for about 2 weeks, and he won't do it. but he turned around and called her ghetto. So if she's so ghetto, why don't you go ahead and face her in the debate, dude? Why won't you go ahead and face her in the debate, Tatum? Shout out to Tez. Look on this other one here, man. There's some other stuff I seen on well, I'm looking at TikTok. Some other stuff I seen on TikTok as well. It was one guy. I know I'm pretty sure y'all probably seen this. I'm gonna go ahead and play this for y'all. Anyways, though, I appreciate y'all tapping in with me. Let me see. Let me find this. Oh yeah, hold on. This guy right here. Yeah. Let's look at this right here. Hold on. Check this out.
I want y'all to lock in. Please hurry up and save this video before they erase it. Hurry up and save this video before they erase it. We have a new timeline. Shout out to the nerdy pink panda on TikTok, J Megan. There is a new timeline. Y'all already know how strict they've been with her channel. Everything she upload, they try to erase it. But this time, we all on it before they even do that. So make sure y'all hype this video. Make sure y'all hit the like button and make sure y'all are subscribing. Check this out.
Oh, these little liars. I told y'all that Jax was the ringleader. I told y'all. He sat in this interview and he was telling stories about shit that he wasn't even there to witness. So let's break down some of the stuff that I heard in this interview. Let's start with Warren's first phone call, because y'all will remember that Warren said that he was over at Ava's house for that 4th of July party when they all started realizing that Nolan was missing, and he called Miss Christine at 11 o'clock.
One of the first things I told Miss Christine Wells in the first phone call that ever occurred with anything to do with Nolan Wells being gone, because I was the first person to call Miss Christine about anything. First phone call, anything to do with Nolan Wells, was me making a phone call, Christine Wells. And one of the first things I said to her, with multiple witnesses here, pull up the phone call if you want. She said, oh, well, Nolan's location is with y'all at, where the house we were at. And I was like, well, no, he left his phone with us. I told her this.
And yesterday, the same time that this interview came out, Christine Wells said this.
360 says that he's on land, and he was like, well, no, I mean, well, we have his phone.
So both versions of the story say that Warren didn't tell her about the phone until after she confronted him with the 360. Now, Warren tells Miss Christine that he knows somebody in the Coast Guard and that he's going to call them, which is very fucking different than calling the Coast Guard, which absolutely explains why the Coast Guard came out and said at first that they had not received a call from the kids that night. The Coast Guard's initial statement said they weren't informed until 12:30. Then the Coast Guard later changed their story and said, oh wait, actually we did. And it seems to me that first call was most likely an off the record to a friend kind of deal, which means these people freaked out and didn't call the Coast Guard until after all these people showed up at Jax's house.
I told you, they all connected.
Which would explain why in the course of this interview, it went from Warren called the Coast Guard to we did. Now, when the subject turns to how the family got the phone back from these boys, you'll notice that there was a couple slip-ups.
Warren, you weren't at the house. And so you weren't there when they came to get the phone and all that. So
now remember, Warren just said that he wasn't at the house when the phone was got. And then Morgan talks about getting a phone call from one of the people in Christine Wells' group.
And how did they get the phone back?
So I got a call from a kid we went to high school with. He called me just asking me questions. He saw people posting on Snapchat, like the picture that was circulating.
Except this picture wasn't posted until July 5th. Well, how could this picture have been circulating on Snapchat that night? But let's continue.
And he called and he was asking questions. He was like, where's Nolan? When's the last time y'all seen him? And then he was like, so where are y'all at? And I told him, I said, we're at Jax's house. And then Warren got on the phone and I don't know.
So they come to my house, right? And they kind of hold on, before we get there. Was it confrontational or was it just just trying to find? It was confrontational.
Yeah,
already.
wouldn't y'all agree?
Yeah,
he was 110%. He was very confrontational.
When did this was this on the night of the 4th or the next day?
This was the night when this was before they came and got the phone.
So this is the night of the 4th, yes.
You guys are missing a part of the story. How did you get from Ava's house to Jax's house? Because Miss Christine is watching you guys on the Life 360. So suddenly she's seeing the phone leave one location and go to another. Of course I would be upset. And now all of a sudden Warren is there when the phone stuff starts happening? He's listening to the phone call? Now I need y'all to remember that Warren also said that the phone was in his truck on the first conversation, as we have from this report. Meaning if we were to believe Warren that he was not there when everybody showed up looking for the phone at some time in between 11 and 1 a.m., so then that would mean after they heard this angry phone call, Warren gets the phone out of his vehicle and puts it in Jack's house and then leaves.
There's probably like 10, 15 people in my house I don't even know. And they're all up in our faces, going crazy, asking where Nolan is, and we don't know. And finally they get into Wyatt's face, and they're like, "Where's your boat? Where's the boat at?" Demanding his address. Demanding his address and stuff like that. And he finally ends up giving it to him. We give them the phone. They have the phone at this point. Then they get the address to his house. Then they go to his house. And they're searching all over his boat, what I heard and stuff like that. Well, anyways, I don't really know much about that, but they come back to my house at around 1 o'clock in the morning.
We called law enforcement. I was with Wyatt at the time after we left Jackson's house that night. I was with Wyatt, and one person we were with saw that their location was headed towards Wyatt's house. And so Wyatt got on the phone with 911 and was like, "Hey, these people are on the way to my house, or already at my house. My mom and my dad are there alone, and they know nothing about this." But Wyatt's mom actually, when they were looking at the boat, they were actually walking from the boat, and she came out and started talking to them.
Okay, so let me get this straight. Wyatt, Morgan, and Jax were all together. Warren was gone for some reason at this point. 10 to 15 people just barge into your house. Don't know why your grandparents weren't around. That might explain some things, huh? Guess y'all had the house all to your fucking self that weekend. But then they ask Wyatt for his address so that they can go look at the boat. Wyatt gives them the address. They start heading over there. Wyatt and Morgan get into a car and leave Jax's house. Somebody else that you were with that we aren't hearing about is tracking someone else's phone. I don't know if it was somebody who was with the group that they had access to, or if they were tracking Nolan's phone and they saw it was heading to Wyatt's house. And even though Wyatt gave them the address, and
she is cooking.
Yeah.
I don't care if you got to slow motion it. Understand what she's putting down. Please slow motion it. Save it before.
Hey, well, shout out to this dude here and Jay Megan. But they said that the Nolan Wells partners, they was being confrontational. But I'm gonna show y'all something, man, what this lady said about it. When she went there, it was actually Javon's mom. So she went on somebody's little live and she was talking about it. Now they said that this lady here and this whole crew was being really confrontational, but listen to what she says.
Which that boat had never even been in the water. Wyatt did. I never even really talked to Warren. The whole time I was in the house, I spoke with Wyatt. Wyatt is the one who had the phone that supposedly was in his truck or whoever. But Wyatt is who I talked to. I never talked to Warren. I'm not sure why Warren is doing that. But I turned the camera around directly on Wyatt and told my sister. Outside somewhere. They said it was in the truck. I'm not sure where it was at. It took them at least 15 minutes to bring me the phone. By this time, the boys will start, because Wyatt started getting jazzy at the mouth. So my son Jalen was like, "Hey, you better."
Said Wyatt started getting jazzy at the mouth. So the boys turned around and said they was being confrontational. I really believe this lady. I can't remember her name, but shout out to her. I talked to her a couple of times on TikTok. Shout out to her, man. But she said that them boys started being trying to get a little smart and, hostile. And she said her son had to step in. I'm like, whoa, hold up now. That's my mama you talking to. Check it out.
Watch your tone, like, don't get smart, my mama.
Right.
Because we trying to see what Nolan, because we trying to figure out why y'all see y'all ass up here chilling and Nolan missing. So that's when I asked again, where's the phone? She's gone. That's when he told me she was going to get it. I said, oh, she must have to go back to Horn Island truck outside. Now, mind you, we had to pass all the cars to walk in the house. It's just it's a bunch of lies. I don't feel the need to, like I said, when they go to mentioning Javon, I'm going to say and stand up behind mine every single time. As far as me and that nutty shit, I don't feel the need to explain anything to any of y'all. And
okay, so I'm going to just say shout out to Javon's mom. I cannot remember her name. Not remember her name, but just shout out to Javon's mom. She said that them boys was being confrontational at first. You know what I'm saying? So I seen this too. And I don't know how true this is, but I want to put it out there. I really do want to put it out there. There's a few people that said that they've been doing this chat GBT thing about this boat situation. And this is one of them that I you know what I'm saying, I saved. So let's check it out.
Help me figure this case out. Let me show you something. Do not scroll away. I had ChatGPT tell you something. Do not scroll away. I had ChatGPT design this diagram below. And what the diagram shows you is the void between these 4 people right here. You see all 5 people. There's a void. Everybody's avoiding something on the floor right there. Why are they not? That's the largest space on the entire boat. Why is nobody standing in the biggest area of the boat? Why is everybody off to the side? If you look at the diagram, the red part shows Nolan's body. And if you look at the dude in the back, in the orange, I asked Google to tell me where that bilge pump is. And that's what he's doing in the back. He's over there messing with that bilge pump. And Wyatt right here is on the phone. Now listen to what I learned. Now, when Wyatt was on that phone call with the CETO company on the stress call, he says that the lady asked him, what is your GPS coordinates? Wyatt says, let me go look. So he had to have been over here with all the commotion going on while he's over here messing with that bilge pump. Wyatt was over here and he left from over here to go over here to check the coordinates. As you can see, he's on the phone right there where the coordinates is. And if you look at the diagram, you can literally see where Nolan's body could possibly be in this picture where you can't see it. Because I had them tell me what all of this means, what the space is called, and everything. So that space definitely can hold Nolan's body. And as you can see here, what the fuck are they avoiding? Why are they not standing right there? They're avoiding something. There's a whole void in between all these people. And that diagram shows you what's really going on in this picture. Did ChatGPT just help me?
So, I mean, it could be a lot of things could be a lot of reasons why they're not standing right there. I know I'm thinking one off my head, like right now, they pulling in or taking out that rope. And maybe nobody wants to stand on it, something like that. So I don't know. But a lot of people have been doing this ChatGPT and trying to see if that was, if that shadow was a part of Nolan's body. You know what I'm saying? And some people are saying that the ChatGPT is showing like it could be. It could be a like when that hand little whatever shadow raises up. It said ChatGPT says it could be a part of a body. So it's been a lot of people that's saying that or making them videos about that little that little shadow that was supposedly people are seeing in this in that video. So here we got a Mississippi man. He's speaking like telling it like it is. He say, man, like he's saying like a lot of these people, saying Mississippi is weak, say, but they don't really mess with nobody except for them, them the other, us black people that hang around white people. He said, but down off in the black areas, he say, man, the white people don't go down there and mess with them. Let's check out what he say. Shout out to this big unk. Hey, I appreciate y'all tapping in with me. Continue, just stay with me. You know what I'm saying? I got something big at the end, so check this out.
Shit about niggas in Mississippi weak. Them motherfucking white folks ain't doing shit to nobody black that's in the black neighborhood in the ghetto. They ain't coming to our hoods and fucking with nobody. They fucking with them black people that hang with white people. Them motherfuckers ain't fucking with us. You think I'm finna jump out here about a black person that goddamn don't even really hang with black people that call us ghetto and hood and shit, don't fuck with us? Shit, them motherfuckers ain't coming to the hood fucking with shit. We'll get on their ass. And yeah, black people killing black people because we're around black people all fucking day. We ain't over there with the white folks doing shit and this, that, and the third. If white people's in the hood on bullshit, we'll beat the fuck out of them too.
Ooh.
Ain't shit sweet in the silk now.
And all that what he said, man. Shout out to Big Unk. I see somebody in the comments say, not happening in Mississippi Delta, I promise. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't going on the way y'all think it is. It ain't going on the way y'all think it is. It ain't sweet down there. You know what I'm saying? He just mess with them people that hang around the white folks. That's what he basically saying. So, hey, I'm finna get ready to jump into this content. I said, it said a witness supposedly has spoke out. Shout out to Poetic Flacco. He came out with a couple of videos about this. Then we're gonna watch a little bit of this Nancy Grace. But before I do that, I'm gonna go into and look at this content, but I want to show y'all this these shirts that I made. That's kind of like a rough draft. This is just kind of like the beginning stages of my show. Had a couple of females kind of mile them out. They got the pink tank tops for the ladies. Then they got different colors. I got different colors for the men. But this is just the rough draft. So y'all check this out, and I'm gonna try to get this content together for y'all. But so let me know what y'all think about these shirts. Hold on. Hey, what y'all think about those shirts, man? Little tank tops for the ladies. Also, I got some colors coming for the guys too, but I think I'm gonna put something in the back of it. Um, I don't know yet. I'm just kind of playing around with the idea, but those came out. My boy made those. Shout out to the Mike Hustle guy, man. He do my little shirt for me. Shout out to him. And just let me know what y'all think about that, man, down in the comments, man. Would y'all rock the females, would y'all rock them little pink tank tops? Let me see if I can find this. Damn, I just had it too. Yeah, would y'all rock them pink tank tops, ladies? If there are any ladies in here. Or guys, would y'all get those for your girls, wives, anything? Somebody? Let me see. Just had this damn video. One that I want to play first. Oh yeah, here it is, right here. So we're gonna watch Flacco. Shout out to Poetic Flacco. They've been on Flacco tail, man. Hold on, let me see. They've been on Flacco's tail, man, for the past week and a half. They're saying, man, you know what I'm saying, he ain't looking out for his family. How his family was looking out for him. They say, man, his cousin got online and started, you know what I'm saying, just flaming him, telling him that he's lying, and you know what I'm saying, he's not from North Dakota. He's actually from Philly, and his sister is like homeless and stuff like that, man. But it's crazy, man. I mean, I still rock with him. I think he's a good dude, but a lot of stuff is coming out on Flacco, man. So shout out to Flacco, man. Let's check out this, see what he's talking about.
Who, in her words, is going to go to jail based on what she witnessed. Now, somehow, some way, and a lot of you guys probably already suspect this, somehow, some way, Officer Tatum is involved somewhere in this equation, in which you will find out at some point in this video. But here is what she has to say. Now, her page is on private, so we only have people reading what she said on her page. So this is what she had to say in terms of, the last sighting of Nolan. Now, apparently, she didn't just see Nolan by herself. It was her and her husband who witnessed this.
I have not spoken publicly about this before, but I witnessed an altercation involving Nolan Wells from a boat nearby. What I saw has stayed with me, and I believe it's important information. I have provided or intend to provide my account to the appropriate investigators because Nolan's family deserves the truth. Out of respect for the ongoing investigation, I won't speculate beyond what I personally observed. While I was on the boat near the area, I witnessed an altercation involving Nolan Wells and several other individuals. I saw what appeared to be an argument that escalated after there was a dispute involving Nolan's phone. I heard Nolan yelling for his phone to be returned. The argument continued after the group reached shore, and I observed a physical fight involving Nolan and multiple people. I also observed a young woman telling them to stop. At that point, I left the area because the situation had appeared to be getting worse. I did not remain long enough to witness what happened afterward. Everything beyond what I personally observed would be speculation, so I cannot honestly say what occurred after I left. Then she said she messaged one of the individuals that she saw, hey, I just want to say I was a passenger on another boat and I saw the argument between you guys and we'll go to the police with this information. I also have video footage. My husband doesn't show much, but it shows the argument that was taken and how you guys were upset at Nolan because of the young lady.
I don't know if they ever turned over the videos that they have to the police. I don't know if they ever gave a statement to the police. But that post is being read directly from their TikTok by Secret Service in. And the reason why we don't know if they've ever turned over information, if they ever spoke to the police, if the police have ever followed up on this, because the DA and the prosecutors don't speak to you unless you are an attorney for one of the boys. Okay? All right? Even the family can't get information from out these people, but somehow Bart's attorney had all the information in regards to Nolan Wells' autopsy before the parents had it and Chris Cuomo had it. Like ain't that odd? These information is supposed to be secret and sealed, but somehow these folks have all the information before anybody else do, but they, quote unquote, ain't speaking, right? Cool. So we don't know. But what I can say is be very careful, okay, about somebody's initial reaction to this. If somebody's initial
Hey, you know, when he said that made me think about it. I said this in my last live. I said, you know, when they did that interview, that attorney said, if anybody come out to these boys to, you know, sue them or anything, they're gonna lose. He said, why they're gonna lose is because we have all the information, and what do they have? They have nothing. So obviously they are talking amongst each other. They are talking amongst each other, but they're leaving the family out of what they found or whatever. I don't know what they got going on, but they're leaving that family out. And somebody said that the reason why they're not sharing information with that family is because they want her to get rid of Ben Crump and Al Sharpton. So I don't know.
reaction to this is what you're about to hear. They're very sus, right? They are very, very sketchy. Okay. Now, after you hear this, there's another factor that gets really deeper. Officer Tatum and his reaction to this tells me everything I need to know about this. Tatum's reaction to this should tell us everything we need to know about this, but we'll get there towards the end of this video.
Formerly in the public defender's office, they try a ton of cases. Philip, first of all, has she turned it into police? She said she was. If she hasn't, I give her no credibility at all. Look, I want this to be true. Why? Because I want the video. I want to see the timestamp on the video. I want to see, was he still on Horn Island at 4:30 when his acquaintances on the Triton boat left? I want that video. And if she hasn't brought this forward to LE, law enforcement, then it means nothing to me. I mean, if I know a young man turns up dead in the water, and I know there's a controversy surrounding this, I mean, we know she knows that because she's gone online and posted it, then why not hand it over to police?
Agreed. And it should go to the grand jury for part of their investigation. But I got to tell you, if I were cross-examining her, should this even go to trial, the first question I'd ask her on that 4th of July, what she had been drinking. Before that video got activated, everybody would want to
put him up.
Drinking and smoke. You know how many people were partying?
Okay, man. Have you lost your mind?
When I tell y'all we're in this fight by ourselves, we're in this fight by ourselves, bruh. None of these people want to see justice. None of them. Yo, when it comes to this situation, in this case specifically this case, these people act like they don't have common sense. These people all of a sudden lose all rationality. They lose all common sense. This man, right, who is an actual attorney, is hearing a woman say, yo, I seen Nolan Wells have an altercation with somebody. shortly before his disappearance, and he says, well, was she drunk? Was she drinking? Excuse me? How? What? Now, yo, shout out to Nancy Grace, because Nancy Grace she shut this conversation down shortly after this.
She talked bad.
Like, she shut this conversation down. She said, I'm good, bro. Like, you straight. Like, you could go. And she redirected her focus to Tatum. Now, what Tatum had to say about this was the most interesting. What Tatum had to say about this left me floored, left my mouth, my jaw, everything on the floor. I couldn't believe what I was hearing Tatum say.
Brandon Tatum is joining us. So after all that, all you have to say is, was she drinking? That's your takeaway from that? Joining me is Brandon Tatum, former police officer, Tucson, now star of The Officer Tatum on YouTube, who famously has interviewed the acquaintances who all say they had nothing to do with it. Let's just put that out there. He's interviewed them extensively. I want to talk about not what you want to talk about, Brandon Tatum, which is they had nothing to do with this, because I met them and I believe them. So noted. Can we talk about a potential witness to an altercation? And she seems to suggest it was over Katie. Why? Don't know what the altercation was. Maybe it was, hey, leave her alone and get on the boat, or leave her alone, she's my girlfriend, or it could be anything. But if there is a witness placing Nolan seemingly in the water, I can't tell that, but having an argument with another person, a partier at Horn Island, that is significant. It could prove or disprove your friend's timeline.
Well, Nancy, I think that it's a big obstacle to climb here, because I've never heard of this altercation whatsoever. No.
Tatum, what? Tatum, hell ain't hot enough for you, bro. Hell ain't hot enough for you, bro. You've never heard about this altercation before, Tatum? You mean, wait, hold on, Tatum. No, I didn't hear that right. Play that. Nah. He didn't say that.
Your friend's timeline.
Well, Nancy, I think that it's a big obstacle to climb here, because I've never heard of this altercation whatsoever. Nobody that I've talked to have alluded that this altercation was real.
These people lie so much they can't even keep up with their own lies anymore. They tell so many lies they can't keep up anymore. But I fear this lie that Tatum is currently telling is the most nefarious lie of them all. I fear there's some truth to what we just heard. And Tatum is trying to cover up for it. And here's why. You see, Tatum told Nancy Grace after he heard the story that he never heard about this altercation. Nobody he had any contact with has ever mentioned this altercation before. But this was Tatum approximately 3 weeks ago on his channel talking about this very same altercation. Isn't this you, Tatum?
I received a DM from someone DMing another person. Now, I'm trying to leave these names out because I want to not mess this investigation up. I think law enforcement already have this. That alluded to the fact that, and I messaged this person because I want to talk directly to the person that I saw the DM from. And we haven't talked to this person yet. But the person said in the DM to another kid that is associated, not any of the kids that I interviewed to talk to, but that could be associated to some degree, that knew Nolan, that this person wrote a message saying, me and my husband saw you arguing with Nolan, and to the effect of, you're going to spend the rest of your life in prison. Now, the person did not say they saw a physical altercation. The person did not say what time they saw Nolan and this other person getting into an argument. Now, this is after Warren, their boat left. This may be somewhere around a little bit before 6. What I'm thinking at this point, with all that has been said, is that somebody knows exactly what happened to Nolan, or they saw him right before he died. I am not convinced that Nolan was just out there and drowned.
Tatum was so convinced by that DM that Nolan had an altercation back and forth with somebody that he even went out on a limb to say he believed that somebody knows what happened to Nolan, somebody watched Nolan die, and he don't believe that Nolan drowned. Now, all of a sudden, after Tatum became buddies with the boys' lawyers, after the boy lawyers started to promote Tatum's bourbon and his liquor in all of their interviews, after they essentially got a partnership with Tatum, now all of a sudden, Tatum don't remember ever hearing about this altercation, but that ain't the only lie Tatum got caught in. No. In the last 24 hours, it got exposed. Damn near all of Officer Tatum quote unquote sources were all lies. He either made it up himself or he's lying about everything he once knew because he realized those things now implicate his friends and his homies. Allegedly, I don't know, okay? So that man just explained the exact altercation that person is describing. Nancy Grace asked him about the same altercation he already talked about 3 weeks ago. Now, all of a sudden, he has no idea what's going on. He never heard of it. This man needs to be investigated, bro. Tatum needs to be investigated. They need to bring Tatum to the altar, bro. Because you can't keep getting away with this.
And also Katie, whom I saw her text messages, she didn't even say this altercation occurred. What I will say is that if I was an investigator in this investigation, I want to hear that. I want to be able to compare that information to other things that we may have or other witness statements. But I don't think it's significant because it doesn't show if Nolan Wells was actually killed in that altercation. She's claiming that there was an altercation between him arguing with somebody else. There was a potential fight, but that doesn't get me to how did he drown? How did he get in the water? And how did he not recover and come home to his family? So I would take that into consideration. I would compare that to the other interviews that I've done, but I don't think it's significant whatsoever. However, I would be incredibly skeptical because there's no other statements that I've heard from anybody that comes even close to an altercation with Nolan Wells and others over a girl.
Number one, he's dead shortly after an alleged altercation with another male. We think over a woman. See, in my world, I put together both circumstantial and direct evidence. Direct evidence would be, for instance, DNA or a fingerprint. Circumstantial evidence is the timing of the alleged altercation and his death. Right?
Nancy,
so
Nancy,
it's hard for me to believe that there's some kind of altercation on Horn Island just before he dies. And they were not connected. That's hard for me to believe that.
Well, Nancy, she's not saying he lost the fight. She's not saying that he got beat up. If you look at the autopsy, there's no clear signs of blunt force trauma to his face or any of the vital areas that could kill him. So it doesn't appear that there's any indication that he lost a fight, that there was enough trauma in this particular.
You see how Tatum has went from, hey, I was told this, and I'll be real, man. Hey, bro, like they're credible. And you know, listen, man, I now believe, I don't think he just drowned. I think somebody watched him die. Then shouldn't you still have that exact same thing? It's only been 3 weeks. Shouldn't you still think the exact same thing? Shouldn't you still believe what you said 3 weeks ago, which is, again, Tatum's exact word was, even if they didn't get into a physical altercation, I still believe somebody seen what happened, somebody watched Nolan die, somebody knows what happens. Then wouldn't this person be crucial and pivotal in figuring that out? Why is Tatum all of a sudden going against and attacking the very same information and evidence that he broke? Tatum was the first one to release this information 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
But now he's going against it. Now he's fighting against it. Now he's doing everything in his power to try to underplay it. Why? That's interesting. The only thing I could point to is, man, them boys got Verdict Bourbon in their background. When they do interviews now, they promoting your bourbon for you. So now all of a sudden, you don't want to concede an inch that could make people look bad. That's odd, Tatum. That's very odd. Very odd here. See, this is not the only lie Tatum got caught up in. Y'all remember when Tatum came on his channel and he claimed that a source that was very credible, a source that's been 150% accurate, they told him that Nolan Wells was on coke on the island. Y'all remember? I'm sure you guys do. Y'all remember that? Well, guess what? This was also a lie.
But what I was told, and you guys, please take in consideration that it's reliable sources. However, the only way to prove the truth in this is if I see it with my own eyes, if the law enforcement have the investigation of this, and also when the toxicology results come out. But people are messaging me and telling me that there is heavy drinking and there's cocaine involved. And there's a particular person whom I know this person's name. I'm not going to disclose it. I'm going to go to the police first, and then I will disclose it if it doesn't interfere in the investigation. But this person.
Hey, shout out to Flacco. There's that verdict alcohol. I guess that's his stuff. That's his drink. But yeah, he had to walk that back on Nancy Grace about that alleged powder he say he heard. I believe he made that up. I don't think nobody told him that. I really believe he made that up, man. Shout out to Poetic Flacco. And if y'all notice the way he talks to Nancy Grace, he's just so just like a little child talking to an adult. He does that to the Caucasian people, but then he turns around and calls old girl who's actually calling him out for a debate. He calls her ghetto. I mean, are you serious? I know, and this one thing I gotta find this where he said something about Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama is not. She don't look good, and she don't look as good as my wife. And I'm like, oh my God, man, is he really saying this crap?
Allegedly was offering people cocaine, and someone close to Nolan, one of his friends, told me that this person was offered cocaine and rejected it from this person. And I was also told, and this person told me that it's over 100% chance that Nolan was using cocaine during this period of time. This person said it was 150% sure that when the toxicology comes back, that Nolan will have cocaine in his system. Now,
150% if the toxicology come back, Nolan will have coke in his system. Now, here's the thing. Tatum said he was going to go to the police. We haven't heard any update on Tatum telling the police this information.
Right. Because it was a lie.
Tatum potentially knew of a potential drug dealer who could have given Nolan drugs that could have contributed to his death, and Tatum never went to the police, never told him anything. All right? And again, according to him, his source is the most reliable. Bro, he was damn near saying this is true. Like, yo, bro, once you reiterate, this source have never told me bad information. This source have been accurate 1,000%. They've told me 150% Nolan gonna have coke in his system. Well, according to Nancy Grace and other experts, the toxicology is apparently back. And you know what's not in his system? Apparently, coke is not in Nolan Wells' system. Right? So Tatum's quote-unquote expert was lying. Tatum was lying. So now I can distinguish between what has Tatum ever said about this case that's the truth.
I know they're saying they're done with the autopsy and that it's complete, which means the gross findings in the autopsy room, the tox, the histology, that means that autopsy report is complete. They just hadn't released their findings yet.
And speaking of that, Joe Scott Morgan, I've heard the same, that the autopsy is complete.
Yeah.
There are reports that there is no cocaine in Nolan's system. That's uncorroborated reports.
Okay.
But a good source. No cocaine in the system.
Yep.
Joe Scott, when the body has been in the elements, such as the water, for that long, how can I confirm if he had been drinking or not?
Oh, you can still pull a BA, blood alcohol, or blood ethanol level, as it's referred to. And again, Nancy, we're not talking about someone that has been down for weeks and weeks.
Tatum is now pretending like he never heard about the altercation and he never heard of her, anything about it. And then we found out that Tatum's source that apparently gave him information that was 150% correct was actually wrong. All right. And Nolan was not on coke. Y'all let me know in the comment section, man, what y'all think about this, bro. I think this is even low.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Shout out to Poetic Flocko again, man. And whatever they saying about you, buddy, I stand with you, man. You be cooking sometimes, man. You really be cooking. But man, yeah, that's crazy. For him to say that about Nolan Wells and then, have to end up walking it back. I know he was lying. I knew he was lying. I really don't feel like the boy was really too much drinking either because you remember he had like a tryout or something that was going on that Monday. So I don't really think he was getting hammered, getting trashed like they all claim. And then like in the first interview, when Warren had this first interview, why didn't he say anything about, man, Nolan was like fucked up? He didn't say nothing like that. He didn't say nothing like that. And then after that interview came out and everybody started cutting through it and finding inconsistencies, then they want to come out with the drinking and the drug part. You know what I'm saying? So, man, shout out to Poetic Flocko, but let me see if I can find this Nancy Grace one, man, because this is basically the same thing that he was talking about. But the Nancy Grace, she had a few other people on here on her channel, and she was talking about it wasn't an altercation, it was the witness. She was talking about the witness. Yeah, she was talking about the witness of this altercation that supposedly had happened. But I mean, some people are starting to say that it was true. So shout out to them, man. Let's see what's going on with Nancy Grace. See what she's talking about.
Altercation witness emerged. A witness that claims she saw an altercation at Horn Island. Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us.
All right, so I just got a text message from my partner there. My comments aren't showing up in the chat. I don't know, so I'm gonna try to drop a link, man. So if anybody want to come up and talk about it, because obviously my comments aren't showing up. I don't know why, but I'll try to drop this link, man. If y'all want to come up and talk about it, you're more than welcome. Let me drop this link.
A Nolan Wells phone evidence torpedo.
2 confirmed witnesses that saw Nolan Wells on the island around 6 p.m. The Triton, as you said, left around 4:30.
What witnesses? Where? Who, what, where, why, and when?
I have not spoken publicly about this before, but I witnessed an altercation involving Nolan Wells from a boat nearby. What I saw has stayed with me, and I believe it's important information. I have provided or intend to provide my account to the appropriate investigators because Nolan's family deserves the truth. Out of respect for the ongoing investigation, I won't speculate beyond what I personally observed. While I was on the boat near the area, I witnessed an altercation involving Nolan Wells and several other individuals. I saw what appeared to be an argument that escalated after there was a dispute involving Nolan's phone. I heard Nolan yelling for his phone to be returned. The argument continued after the group reached shore, and I observed a physical fight involving Nolan and multiple people. I also observed a young woman telling them to stop. At that point, I left the area because the situation had appeared to be getting worse. I did not remain long enough to witness what happened afterward. Everything beyond what I personally observed would be speculation, so I cannot honestly say what occurred after I left. Then she said she messaged one of the individuals that she saw, hey, I just want to say I was a passenger on another boat and I saw the argument between you guys and we'll go to the police with this information. I also have video footage. My husband doesn't show much, but it shows the argument that was taken and how you guys were upset at Nolan because of the young lady.
That from Secret Service Sam on TikTok. Okay, how is this helping the investigation? I'm trying to make sense of so many people online making comments. Now, if this is true, if there is a witness who has a husband with her on the boat and they took a certain amount of video, it could change everything, especially if the video is time stamped. Straight out to veteran trial lawyer, defense attorney Philip Dubay joining me. He's joining us out of LA, formerly in the public defender's office. They try a ton of cases. Philip, first of all, has she turned it into police? She said she was. If she hasn't, I give her no credibility at all. Look, I want this to be true. Why? Because I want the video. I want to see the timestamp on the video. I want to see, was he still on Horn Island at 4:30 when his acquaintances on the Triton boat left? I want that video. And if she hasn't brought this forward to LE, law enforcement, then it means nothing to me. I mean, if I know a young man turns up dead in the water, and I know there's a controversy surrounding this. I mean, we know she knows that because she's gone online and posted it. Then why not hand it over to police?
Agreed. And it should go to the grand jury for part of their investigation. But I got to tell you, if I were cross-examining her, should this even go to trial, the first question I'd ask her on that 4th of July, what she had been drinking. Before that video got activated, everybody would want to
put him up.
And smoke. You know how many people were partying?
Okay, man. Have you lost your mind? You defend criminal cases. I bet everybody you put on the stand has either been high, drunk, or worse during the altercation. Well, every witness is not a nun, a priest, or a virgin. Everybody on Horn Island was drinking, man. What are you talking about? I don't care if she took a drink. I want the video.
You want the truth. Is what you want. You want the truth. And let's
and that would be the video. Yeah.
Remember, Nancy.
Okay.
Not consistent.
Brandon Tatum is joining us.
Man, she talked bad to that man, and it's gonna get worse. She throughout the show, she's just gonna be talking to that dude like a kid, man. But hey, I posted a link up in the chat, man. Shout out to Nancy Grace, man. I appreciate y'all rocking with me. Hit the like button, man. Shit. Yeah, but she gonna talk to this guy pretty bad through this whole little interview. You know what I'm saying? He stayed on his best behavior because she done already went off on him a couple of times in her past little lives.
So after all that, all you have to say is, was she drinking? That's your takeaway from that? Joining me is Brandon Tatum, former police officer, Tucson, now star of The Officer Tatum on YouTube, who famously has interviewed the acquaintances who all say they had nothing to do with it. Let's just put that out there. He's interviewed them extensively. I want to talk about not what you want to talk about, Brandon Tatum, which is they had nothing to do with this, because I met them and I believe them. So noted. Can we talk about a potential witness to an altercation? And she seems to suggest it was over Katie. Why? Don't know what the altercation was. Maybe it was, hey, leave her alone and get on the boat, or leave her alone, she's my girlfriend, or it could be anything. But if there is a witness placing Nolan seemingly in the water, I can't tell that, but having an argument with another person, a partier at Horn Island, that is significant. It could prove or disprove your friend's timeline.
Well, Nancy, I think that it's a big obstacle to climb here because I've never heard of this altercation whatsoever. Nobody that I've talked to have alluded that this altercation was real. And also Katie, whom I saw her text messages, she didn't even say this altercation occurred. What I will say is that if I was an investigator in this investigation, I want to hear that. I want to be able to compare that information to other things that we may have or other witness statements. But I don't think it's significant because it doesn't show if Nolan Wells was actually killed in that altercation. She's claiming that there was an altercation between him arguing with somebody else. There was a potential fight, but that doesn't get me to how did he drown? How did he get in the water? And how did he not recover and come home to his family? So I would take that into consideration. I would compare that to the other interviews that I've done, but I don't think it's significant whatsoever. However, I would be incredibly skeptical because there's no other statements that I've heard from anybody that comes even close to an altercation with Nolan Wells and others over a girl.
Number one.
Yeah, but he did say that he heard of an altercation, but he didn't say it was over a girl, but he did say that somebody said that they heard Nolan being involved in an altercation.
He's dead shortly after an alleged altercation with another male. We think over a woman. See, in my world, I put together both circumstantial and direct evidence. Direct evidence would be, for instance, DNA or a fingerprint. Circumstantial evidence is the timing of the alleged altercation and his death. Right?
Nancy,
So
Nancy,
it's hard for me to believe that there's some kind of altercation on Horn Island just before he dies, and they were not
Nancy,
connected. That's hard for me to believe that.
Well, Nancy, she's not saying he lost the fight. She's not saying that he got beat up. If you look at the autopsy, there's no clear signs of blunt force trauma to his face or any of the vital areas that could kill him. So it doesn't appear that there's any indication that he lost a fight, that there was enough trauma in this particular fight that would lead to his death. And when you look at the autopsy, there is no blunt force trauma to his face. There is no lacerations or damages to the back of his head. This is redness that was underneath the skin.
Oh, wait, are you looking at the screen? Because I'm looking at a big red mark on the back of his head.
Yeah, but this is underneath the skin. This is not a big red gash that's in the back of his head, which would be consistent with blunt force trauma. This is something that occurred underneath the skin that could have been from pooling of blood after his death due to,
Okay, I need to explain something.
I'll let the experts talk about specifics, but it doesn't appear that.
Okay, let's do that. But I want everyone to understand why Officer Tatum is here. Officer Tatum and Philip Dubé and others on our panel tonight are taking a particular side, right? It's called cross-examination, and it is similar to what happens in court. A theory emerges, a line of questioning emerges, and the other side tests it with fire under cross-examination. And then, hopefully, you get to the truth. Right now, we're talking about an alleged eyewitness to an altercation just before Nolan Wells is dead. If she has not handed this over to the police, it doesn't mean a hill of beans to me. But Tatum has a good idea, and that is, let's let an expert discuss it.
She is right about one thing. She's right about one thing. He is taking sides. He sits up here and says, man, we ain't taking no sides. I'm not taking no sides. But as you know, every time he speaks, he's either talking bad about Nolan Wells' mom or saying something like crazy out the way, but making those boys look like they're just angels. So that is taking sides. Like I said, the link is in the chat. Y'all want to come up? Who? I don't care. I'm biased. I'm just want to know what happened to him. I want to know the truth like everybody else. So whether you for him, for Nolan, or against him, come on up. Say something. Talk to me. Tell me how you feel.
Joseph Scott Morgan, death investigator, professor of forensics, Jacksonville State University. You can see him now on a hit podcast. It's on YouTube, Body Bags with Joseph Scott Morgan. Joe Scott, if there had been not a blunt force trauma that Officer Tatum is describing, but a fist fight, if there had been a fist fight plus body in water for multiple days, body decomposition, would you expect to see red marks on the hands at that juncture, on the face? What would you expect if there had been a fisticuffs?
Yeah, you would see, well, first off, above discolored areas, like consistent with contusions, if there are facial strikes or just body blows, you can actually see abraded areas over the surface of his fingers, and these are very subtle sometimes. And if there is decomposition, which we believe there is, particularly per the second autopsy that was performed, he didn't make note of this. And can I go one more step with this? And this is kind of graphic, but people need to understand this. This physician that did the second autopsy actually did what's referred to as a coronal sectioning of the face. So there were multiple incisions made into Nolan's face in this autopsy, this second autopsy. And this guy didn't see anything. He didn't see anything that was of import relative or indicative of blunt force trauma. And I would think that if there was contact, particularly if he's fighting a group of people, these sorts of things, you're going to have injuries probably on the leading edges, or what we refer to as the blade of the arm right here on the forearm, the back of the hands, the knuckles, those points of contact. And certainly if there's facial strikes going on with him, which we find with blunt force trauma many times with fisticuffs, as you say, you'll see these strikes, you'll see marks on the face. There's nothing to indicate that in the second autopsy. Now, what the state has, I don't know, but I do know this. I know they're saying they're done with the autopsy and that it's complete, which means the gross findings in the autopsy room, the tox, the histology, that means that autopsy report is complete. They just hadn't released their findings yet.
And speaking of that, Joe Scott Morgan, I've heard the same, that the autopsy is complete.
Yeah.
There are reports that there is no cocaine in Nolan's system. That's uncorroborated reports.
Okay.
But a good source. No cocaine in the system.
Yep.
Joe Scott, when the body has been in the elements, such as the water, for that long, how can I confirm if he had been drinking or not?
Oh, you can still pull a BA, blood alcohol, or blood ethanol level, as it's referred to. And again, Nancy, we're not talking about someone that has been down for weeks and weeks. We can still do the BA, and it can come from urine, blood. We can still draw urine and find it pretty effectively. You'll have what's referred to as qualitative. We've talked about this before, and I know you understand that. But so our friends on.
Damn, they can still draw urine right now. I thought they said his body was like badly decomposed. They said it could still draw urine right now.
Understand, you have a qualitative amount, which they say, yes, it is present. And then you have a quantitative amount where they do the measurement of the BAC, the blood alcohol content. Just think about DWI, DUI, wherever you're from, those levels. And then we get up to those lethal levels. That's really what I'm interested in relative. And yeah, I'm interested in any of the other toxicological findings you might have relative to anything illicit or illicit drugs, but particularly with alcohol, because that has been kind of this thing that has been said over and over and over again. Well, let me see it. I want to know what the blood alcohol level was like. And historically, I would like to know what his level of experience has been with alcohol. As you well know, because of cases you've worked on in the past, Nancy, if you're a lightweight, if you've never had anything to drink and you start taking on copious amounts of alcohol, and you're kind of a neophyte in this area, it can have very, very lethal outcomes.
Let me understand. Joe Scott Morgan.
No, I heard somebody say that too. Like, what if, he hadn't drank in a while and then he just got out there and just really, really just started throwing them back? I still don't believe that he would walk. I don't care how lit you was. I don't think he would still, walk out into some water and try to swim. But I heard somebody say that too, man. Maybe he hadn't had any alcohol in a while and then he just got out there and he just, just went overboard. But I just don't. I can't see that, and I don't think he was like he would get like that tore up because they said he had some kind of trial Monday. Although you had Sunday to recoup, but you know, shit, with alcohol, sometimes it takes more than a day, and especially if you haven't drank in a while.
Joining us, star of Body Bags with Joseph Scott Morgan on YouTube and Death Investigator. When I'm asking you, even if the body has been in the elements for a period of days, can I still get a blood alcohol? Maybe not from urine, but you certainly can't do a blow test. But can you take human tissue from one of the organs and extract a blood alcohol from human tissue?
No, it'd be very difficult. Generally, the liver is the best candidate. We'll spin that down. We'll take a section of it, spin it down, and liquefy it. But again, I submit to you, Nancy, that he has not been down long enough to compromise the ability to get at least a quantitative amount. Yeah, to get a BA.
Okay. To Philip Dubé joining me, a veteran trial lawyer, defense attorney.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody tapping in with me. Something's going on with my comments. The link is in the chat. If y'all want to come up, say something, whether you for Nolan Wells or, you know what I'm saying, think them boys didn't do it, whatever. Just come up. I'm biased. I want to hear everybody.
Out of the LA jurisdiction. I'm not quite sure why you're so focused on who had been drinking. Let's take a look at the video. Let me
Man, she talked to this dude like a child, man. Check this shit out.
answer that for you. Everybody was drinking. Okay, everybody had a snootful. So even someone drinking can see an altercation, Dubé.
No, of course you can. And I can see that crowd of people out there. It was a bustling, hot 4th of July afternoon. But who's to say that the people that she saw included Nolan Wells? And that's why you got to get into her ability to perceive and recollect being impacted by intoxicants such as alcohol. I would want to know if she had imbibed. I really would. Not to mention, the autopsy findings thus far do not reflect any type of physical insults or injury to his body. At most, what you have are
I'm asking
signs.
you about your fixation on the witness having been drinking. Joe Scott Morgan has already addressed the body. I'm talking to you about the alleged witness.
Yeah. If she had in fact been drinking, I do believe, unless they really have a video showing him in HD quality, showing that he was in a fight, then I would call her ability to perceive, recollect, and even state that there was an altercation going on in her presence.
You know, Brandon Tatum joining us, Officer Tatum on YouTube. I've cross-examined a lot of witnesses, and I cross-examined them exactly on that. How far away were you? Did you know the target? Were you familiar with them? Was your vision obstructed by anything? Were you wearing glasses? Were you wearing sunglasses? What time of the day? I mean, I could go on and on. But unless you have a nun, a priest, or a virgin on the stand, or maybe Angel Gabriel might come down and testify, you have to take your witness as you find them. And I'm sure you've had a lot of drunk witnesses in Tucson to everything from a bar fight to a murder to a dope deal. Look, I'd say a good 50% of witnesses were drunk at one time or the other. That doesn't mean they didn't see what they saw.
Well, from a law enforcement perspective, you know, this is not cross-examination on the stand. This is us, what I would deal with a witness is right on the scene. And I'm not too concerned of whether the person is drunk or not. I'm not going to test their blood alcohol level on the scene. I want to know specifically, what did you see? What are the identifying markers that you have to say that this is Nolan? If that person can describe them, maybe we'll do a show up. If we have like a video or a picture or something, we could show them and say, hey, does this match the person you think that was here? Then we'll have a good perspective. But there is a challenge here, because you do have to identify him. You can't just say it was a black man out there with curly hair and I think it was Nolan. You know, you're going to have some clear identifying markers that you know this is Nolan, and then you have to identify the people he was fighting with and the girl. And I think this person is going to have a big challenge. I saw this text message. We reached out to the girl on her social media. She never responded to us. I don't know if she ever really sent it in to the police, but it is problematic, in my opinion, if she hasn't. If you're going to say somebody is going to spend time in jail, or you're alluding to the fact they've committed a crime, and the fact now that we know that Nolan did not survive being out there at Horn Island, and you never submitted that to law enforcement, there's a potential that that's tampering with evidence. If you have evidence of a crime and you're withholding that from law enforcement, and you knowingly and intentionally are doing that, that could be very problematic for a person who claimed to be a witness.
No. Morally, it's wrong, but there is no duty under the law that you have to report yourself as a witness, that you have to volunteer information. You can stand on the side of a pool and watch somebody drown and do nothing unless you have a fiduciary capacity. And it's not a crime in our jurisprudence. So nothing is compelling her under the law to come forward. However, interesting, she did post it. She did identify herself. She did say she was going to police. And that would be my first line of cross. Did you take this to the police? And if she said no, all HELL break out in that courtroom. If you have information like this and you don't go to the police,
Nancy,
fur would fly. Fur would fly. You ever seen a dog fight? That's what I mean by that. Fur would fly. So that would be a line of cross-exam. Hold on. Something else. Before I go out to Susan Hendricks, Jeff Shetler, and Ben Dobrin, now information that there is, in fact, a criminal investigation.
Hearing that somebody who has an inside source is saying the DA's office in Mississippi is now looking at the Nolan Wells case as a criminal investigation and no longer an accidental drowning. Now, we can only pray that this is true. Obviously, we can't celebrate. We can't get excited at all because I have not seen Ben Crump announce this. It is not being reported by any other major media sources, but there are rumblings.
Hey, has Crump, anybody said anything about something being investigated? This case is turning into a criminal investigation. Has he said anybody? Does anybody know that?
From Sam Crouppen. All right. I would like to point out that his source is a, quote, little birdie. Little birdies are saying that an inside source says the DA's office is now looking into the Nolan Wells as a criminal investigation. I can't put that up on the stand. Susan Hendricks joining me, investigative journalist and author of Down the Hill, My Descent into the Double Murder in Delphi. Susan, you get laughed out of court if your witness said a little birdie told me. Number one, that's hearsay, but a little birdie?
Yeah, exactly. It makes me wonder, did that woman, those text messages about some sort of altercation, is the grand jury analyzing this as we speak? Because finally the DA came out and said, look, I can't release anything that's going on, but let it be clear, and I'm paraphrasing, that we are investigating this with a grand jury.
Susan Hendricks, you're absolutely right. She states most recently, this is the elected district attorney. My obligation and commitment is to present the grand jury with all the evidence collected in the case in order for them to reach a decision based on a thorough investigation, complete evidence presentation, the actual truth, and an understanding of the law. I'm obligated to do so in keeping with the law and the rules of the court. She goes on to state, I stand firmly on the rule of law and my ethical obligation. That is what the people of Jackson County elected me to do. I will present the grand jury with a thorough, complete, and fair investigation into the death of Nolan Wells. Now, is there a criminal investigation? According to some sources, there is. We keep hearing there is no criminal investigation. To Dave Mack, Crime Stories investigative reporter.
Well, I'm not gonna say that there is, and I'm not gonna say that there isn't, but I wanna when Ben Crump comes out and says there is, then I'm gonna believe it. Until then, I'm not gonna say that there is or there isn't. Once Ben Crump comes out and says that there is a criminal investigation, then I can believe it. I'll believe it. But what I want to say to this, because I mean, shout out to Nancy Grace. She did that thing. She made old boy look like a little kid. I know one little video she did, or her little broadcast. She had some lady on there, man, and she was telling her she was gonna put her in the go sit in the corner. I'll come back to you later. I was like, damn, that's crazy, man. I don't know. I guess I would be like, I would be like, Tatum too when I got up there, a little timid, a little scared, because you don't know how she gonna treat you. But I'm on her. I'm in her corner. I really feel like that if this girl has this on video, and if it is really Nolan Wells, she should take that to the sheriff's office or try to send that information to Crump. You know what I'm saying? I think she should try to find out Crump's information to somebody that can get to Crump, send that information to him, let them see it before she shares it with the sheriff. Because I really believe too, and I do believe this. I do believe that they are all in cahoots together. Because the sheriff, they have to go to the judge to get warrants signed and everything else. So they know each other very well. So I think if she's really if she's on the side of Nolan, she should find somebody that can get in touch with Ben Crump or the family and, share this video that she so-called has. Don't sit up there and make threats with it, you know what I mean? It's crazy. Why would you sit up there and hold it and make threats with it when you can just actually show this video and maybe that'll help solve everything? So I don't understand why she's sitting up there holding it. And then also, if you do have that type of information, I think you can get in trouble for that, for holding that type of information. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Nancy Grace. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna watch this too from Hype as well. I'm gonna see. I gotta find that video from Hype where they was talking about that too. But I'm gonna find this. I'm gonna play this one first. Cause shout out to Hype, man. He says this one here says that the coroner reveals no drowning on Horn Island in 6 years. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen these videos because I'm kind of running behind on my little live. I was supposed to go live last night, man, but man, I had something going on with my eye, man. I had to go to. That's why I was running late today. I went to the little eye doctor today, man. They said I didn't even know this. My eyes were. I thought I had pink eye. So the doctor was telling me that there's like a nerve in your eye, and once if it gets too much direct sunlight, it will irritate that nerve, and it'll turn red. In the inside of my right eye, it's like red. It said it'll turn red, and it'll make it feel like something is in your eye. So, and it's nothing to do. You just have to take eye drops until it goes away. That's crazy, man. So, she gave me some eye drops, man, and just gotta wait till it goes away, man. But I thought I had pink eye, man. It was just like irritating me. That's why I didn't go live last night. But check out Hype, see what they talking about. Shout out to Hype News.
Fright Plus News, I'm John Abba. Breaking news coming out of Mississippi. Key information connected to the case of Nolan Wells has now broken online and is adding to ongoing speculation. In an exclusive finding from People magazine, it has now been revealed by a Jackson County official that Horn Island has not seen any official drownings in the past 6 years, according to the coroner's office. In the People magazine exclusive, it goes on to read, despite the current and deep water around Horn Island, echoed in the concerns of some locals, data obtained by People indicates that recent drownings there are rare. The Jackson County coroner said that there have been no recorded drowning deaths at Horn Island in the last 6 years. An official tells People in response to an open records request. For some, this is extremely interesting given that many have suspected foul play was involved and that the sheriff's department originally suspected Wells' death to be an accidental drowning, which would anger many since an official autopsy was not completed when that statement was made. So if there has been no drownings on Horn Island in 6 years, what are the chances that Nolan just so happened to experience this unfortunate and from the gathered information?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. She basically said there's been no drownings, but what about M's? You know, homicides. What about that? How many of those have they reported in the last 6 or more years?
Rare incident. In that same exclusive, it will go on to share that drownings have occurred on nearby islands, but again, nothing on Horn Island where Wells was last seen alive. Now, at the top of this case, many have shared their theories of Nolan possibly drowning, with some accusing a potential part of the island being known for rip currents. But viewing where many were positioned in the water that day, it's been hard for some to believe that Wells could drown in water that's waist deep. Now, one user on TikTok, and who is also a retired officer, would be on Horn Island on July 4th and confirmed seeing Wells that day, and would go on to reveal in a post that Wells not only seemed okay, but everyone was in waist deep water. Pictures from his post would also go on to confirm this. Now, a user would first go on to ask, can you confirm if there's phone signal on the island? In which the user would go on to say, maybe one bar on the south side of the island. You can maybe get text messages. We walked the entire island on the 4th. And yes, we saw Nolan earlier that day, but before these pics were taken. He was with a group of white girls who appeared to be around his age. The only reason I remember is my wife said he was one of the former Ocean Springs football players. He did not seem to be impaired by any means. This was also 12 or 1-ish. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Nobody brings their phones off the boats. I did because I wanted to take some pics. Most people are in waist deep water. It's a tragedy either way, but I hope no foul play was involved. But if it was, he needs justice. So much misinformation. Leaving your phone on the boat is common practice at the island. No docks there, so you have to wade to the beach. Every boater, when time permitted, washes their boat and flushes it, especially when leaving salt water, as soon as they get home. His Snapchat would not be used if he didn't have his phone. His mother said he would not leave his friends. We saw with our own eyes he was not with his friends. He was clearly interested in one of the girls. Nobody knows the whole story, but hopefully they will get to the bottom of it. It was also a very family-friendly environment on the beach. Numerous families with small children. If something nefarious happened, it wasn't on the beach. Boats were parked too deep on the island. It would be easy to lose sight of someone behind one of the boats, and the water drops off pretty quickly in some spots. I'm retired law enforcement and worked federal and state investigations. Nothing is off the table. He had 2 autopsies, and the toxicology takes a little while. I have faith in the Jackson County Sheriff's Office. Everyone sees Mississippi as this backwoods racist place. It couldn't be further from the truth, at least here on the coast. Either way, I feel there is a lot of misinformation being spread, even blatant lies by racist people, white and black. Unfortunately, this is the way of the world. I hope this sheds some light on that day on the island, sending prayers to his family and friends who are affected by his tragic loss.
Now, I know he said something about his wife saying something, a former football player, but there was a family, if y'all remember, there was a family that said that they had took it was a lady. She said she had took her friend's son out to this island, and because they were saying that that was Nolan walking with the group of girls. So I'm wondering if she thought that was him as well, or did she really see Nolan? Because that lady, she came online, and she basically said, no, this is not the guy y'all looking for. This is the picture that y'all were talking about. This is me and my family, and this is one of my friend's son. So I'm wondering if she seen that group, or did she really see Nolan? You know what I mean? So, you know, and then he is right. Like, I've been to Biloxi. I've been to Biloxi a couple of times. I stayed in the hotels. They had like a couple of hotels with some casinos in there. I stayed, and I didn't seem like it was a problem. Like, I didn't feel like I was being profiled or anything like that. It just seemed like it. But we just, mind you, I was in Biloxi at one hotel. I think we went out and got something to eat, a few times, and that was it. And also, I've visited Columbus, Mississippi. You know, but what I can't say too much about that because when I did go to Columbus, I was more on the black side. But whenever we did go anywhere and we encountered people, they weren't like that. They didn't seem like racist people there. There was a lot of nice people when I went. I would be in Columbus like almost every weekend. They had like a drag strip down there, so we need to go Saturday or Sunday and be down there all day, just going to different areas in Columbus. I had a few friends that lived, there. I had a good friend of mine. His mom still lives in Columbus, and we was, going to hang out over there. But I said it was more on the black side of town. So I don't know. Just don't know. I don't know what Ocean Springs is like.
Now, over on Instagram, on Thursday, D.L. Hughley would further push against claims that Wells drowned, as he would go on to share a video of a woman taking the stance against those who continue saying that Wells lost his life in an accidental drowning. For his caption, Hughley would go on to say all this.
He was on an island that was very populated with a lot of people. Let's just talk fundamentals of basic common sense, okay? If he drowned, at what point did he drown? And did no one see him drowning? And if he did drown, how and why did he drown? Do we think that he was just like out there and he fell in the water himself and just suddenly couldn't swim and drowned? Do we think he just went for a swim and the rip current took over? I'm asking. Because if you're so convinced that he drowned, how did he drown? I get that drownings happen. How did he drown alone, where no one saw him drowning? Because no one's reported him drowning or seeing him drown or even seeing him struggle. And I want to say he has to be a good swimmer because they did mention a pool party too that he attended. So I don't think that he would go on a boat and go to a pool party if he couldn't swim.
Now, that same woman later on in her video will go on to predict that Mississippi officials will attempt to get the outcome they want in this case, with a potential uproar to soon follow. Now, despite many pushing back against drowning theories, there are some, however, who still believe that him drowning is very plausible.
I can tell you for a fact, Nolan is not the first person to pass away, or even the first person to pass away on the 4th of July. Been several people who have passed away from accidental drowning off of Horn and Ship Island. The majority of the time, it's from people having some liquid courage, jumping off a boat into the water and it being too shallow, or falling off and hitting their head, becoming unconscious. One person, I think it was a 17-year-old, fell off, hit his head, became unconscious, and his friends were right there. Tried to find him, couldn't find him. Didn't find him, I don't think, till the next day. Similar to Nolan. Drowning is silent.
Now, as far as the latest, yesterday would mark Wells's 19th birthday, in which his friends and family would participate in a prayer vigil for the young man who would end up going missing and later be found dead on July 4th. Let's talk about him on the comments below. Upon hearing that Horn Island has not had any reported drownings in 6 years, does this add to speculation that foul play was involved? Reporting live from Hypers Club for Hype Plus News, I'm John Abba.
Yeah, shout out to Hype News, man. But yeah, I mean, they talking about the drowning part. That it would I guess I can't say contradict what the other guy said in his little statement or his comment, whatever he put down in there, where the guy was reading. But he said if anything nefarious was to happen, it couldn't have happened on now. There's too many people out there. So okay, if that's the case, then it's so many people out there they would see him drowning or see him jump in and not come up. If nothing could happen like a M or somebody fighting or something like that, without somebody seeing it, then wouldn't somebody see him if he, like the lady said, that it was a 17-year-old that jumped off a boat and then the friends couldn't find him? You know what I'm saying? So in that case, if he was to jump off this boat and if he was around a bunch of girls and maybe, like she's a liquid courage, maybe he did try to, do a little flip off a boat or something, or dive in, hit his head or something like that. Don't you think somebody would have came out and said something by now? If that was the case, he said it's too many people out there for somebody to do something illegal or, unalive a person. Somebody would have came forth and said, "Hey man, that them boys is completely innocent. This is what happened. I seen this. I seen it would have came out already." And now they, I got to get into a little bit more information on that. But now they're saying that they could possibly be looking at the wrong boat. So could that be a reason why nothing's showing up? Like they're not, telling us anything. I mean, could they have possibly targeted the wrong boat, investigated the wrong boat? Because it was we know for sure it was 3 out there, but then somebody else said that a shout out to Jay Mecken. She did say that she seen a 4th boat. I guess I'm gonna say allegedly she seen a 4th boat. So are they looking at are we looking at the wrong boat? Wrong times? What's going on? And those and there and the DA and all those people, they aren't saying nothing about it. They're not saying anything about this situation. They're keeping it under wraps. And I don't know why they would do that. I can see them not telling the public, but keeping the family out of it, I don't understand that. I don't understand why they would not inform the family on what they have and what their investigation, how far they've gotten into the investigation or anything. What is the reason for you not wanting to inform the family or the family's attorney? It just seems like they're just being like hateful, or they're just kind of, well, we see that you got attorney Ben Crump and Al Sharpton, so if you're gonna have them, I'm not gonna tell you anything. And that's not right. This lady wants to know what happens to her, what happened to her family, what happened to her son, like all the rest of us that have children. And she wants to know what happened to her son. Maybe it will help her sleep better at night, knowing that nothing, bad happened to her son. It was an accident, or if it did, or if something did happen to her son, you know what I mean? And they're looking into trying to get this case handled. Maybe she could sleep a little better. But they aren't saying anything. And that's crazy for them to even do that to that mother. I mean, I'm pretty sure her head is probably so gray right now, it makes no sense. Hey, but y'all let me know how y'all feel, man. Hit that like button. I put the link in the chat. If y'all want to come up, speak something, say something, y'all are more than welcome. So the link is up in the chat. And you can come up and speak your mind. But I want to look at this other thing too, where it says something. Shout out to Willie D. We finna hit one of his videos again. He made a video, and I mean, some of the stuff that Willie do be coming out with, it don't be like true facts, but he'll still put it out there just in case. But this right here, it says Officer Tatum admits he grew up hating white people. So I want to see something, because now, I mean, I understand how did he flip like that? What happened? What did, like D.L. Hewley, I want to ask him. I really do want to ask him, like, man, what have we done to you? What have we done to you to make you hate black people, sir? I mean, I just really would like to ask him that. What have we done to you to make you hate black people? Cause it just seemed like, man, he just flipped. But and here, right here, this video saying he grew up not liking white folks. So let's check this out.
Black people hate him. Officer Tatum went on Elliot Connie's show to defend himself against accusations of supreme coonery. Didn't go so well. Check it out.
I grew up in multiple areas. I went to school at Dunbar High School, Paul Laurence Dunbar, named after famous black poet Paul Laurence Dunbar. But I went to Paul Laurence Dunbar High School, which was right in Stop 6. We lived in Eastwood, which was down the street with my grandma for a couple years. And it wasn't that we needed to, we had to. My daddy was, my daddy was in my life. My mama was good. Like we weren't poor or anything. It just so happened that we lived in those areas. One reason I went to Dunbar was because we wanted to excel in sports. And so we ended up transferring from Crowley to Dunbar. I was living in a lot of different areas, man. We lived in middle class areas. We lived in poor areas. I had a very diverse upbringing.
I don't know if you know this or not, but I went to college not too far away from there, Texas Wesleyan University.
Oh, yeah. I looked you up, man. So
that's very close to where you are.
Yeah.
So before this 2008 that you were just referring to, would you have identified as a Democrat before that?
Yeah, I identified as a Democrat, but I wasn't really into politics. It's just growing up black, you're a Democrat. And Republicans are racist white people. And that's what was, internalized in me as I was growing up. And so that's how I felt. But man, I didn't vote. I wasn't really involved as much. It wasn't until I got to college and I became a cop that I started really thinking like, I need to vote. I need to be a productive member of society. Black people died for the right to vote. And me sitting on the sideline, not getting involved in politics is a disservice. So that's pretty much how I started to vote and get involved.
Was there a particular moment, or was it an evolution where you were just like, the Republican ideals seem to be more in line with me and who I am?
Well, it was an evolution because I grew up, and I would say when I was growing up, I was racist. I didn't really like white people like that. We never was around white people. I had a very negative.
Hold on. I gotta, man.
Come on now, dog. Come on, man. Come on, man.
This man said.
I grew up, and I would say when I was growing up, I was racist. I didn't really like white people like that. We never was around white people. And I had a very negative connotation. I didn't like police officers. First time I got an interaction with a police officer, I was 8. I got arrested for smoking weed in a vacant house with my cousins. And
as an 8-year-old?
8-year-old, yeah. I stopped smoking weed when I was 8, actually. But
whoa. When did you start?
Probably around when I was 6, 7. Smoking weed with my cousins.
All right.
And
all right, so you stop at 8. Okay.
Because I got arrested. We went to juvenile. We didn't spend a lot of time in there, but we ended up getting arrested. Went to juvenile detention. We stayed there for the majority of the day. My daddy came in there like he was in the WWE, saying he gonna kill us and everything. And that changed my life. It's a whole story around that because, anyway, moving forward. So I grew up with that perspective. And when I left high school, went to college, I had an opportunity to be around white people in real life. And I realized that, wait a minute, I don't think white people are as racist or as punitive towards black people. It appears to me when I was in college, they didn't even care. It was a non-starter of racism when I went to the University of Arizona. It was nothing there. And so I began to realize, whoa, the world is bigger. Things are much different. I've been in an isolated box being taught something that I think is not really reality.
I can stop right there, fam. So here's the deal. This shows you how slow Tatum is. He went to the University of Arizona, a PWI school. White girls are all over him. That's what happened. The white girls got on him because he was an athlete. You go to any PWI, and that's what you're going to find. White girls dating black guys who look like they might make it to the next level. So they're trying to secure the bag before the bag is secured. They're also living out their fantasies of having sex with black men. Many of them are being defiant when they go to college. they say, oh, I've been raised like this all this time, and now I got some freedom. My daddy don't know where I'm at all times. Mama don't know where I'm at. They don't know who I'm with, who I'm hanging out with. They don't know who in this dorm room. And they in that dorm room getting the brakes beat out of that thing. They're in there exploring, experimenting, doing all kinds of stuff mom and daddy don't know about. So when they got on him, he took that as some type of validation of acceptance. He really believes that they like him because they like him. No, they like what he could do for them. That's what they liked. Tatum described having deep racial prejudice growing up. The dude has said that he hated white people. You heard him. He said, I hated white people. And he believed black people were superior. See, that gives important context to his current commentary on race. I'll break it down for you in a moment if you give me a chance.
I want to say, I want to ask, like, what he said, what he could do. They like those girls, white girls, like what Tatum could do for them. What could he do for them in college? Because back then they weren't paying the college players like they are now. So, what's he saying? Maybe the way he can lay it down, I don't know. But what Tatum said, that he grew up in a box. You know what I'm saying? Like he was closed off, but Fort Worth and Dallas, those are big cities. You know, it's a bunch of everybody's out there. White, black, Hispanics, you know what I'm saying? Different races out there. So I don't understand that. To me, it makes, I think that he went out to Arizona and he seen the way they treated black people out there, and this is where he was gonna be at, and he just decided to just change his ways and start, doing the opposite of the way he was raised. Because I have a family member that lives out there, and they say those police officers, man, they bad on black people. They just think every black male out there is either a gangbanger or doing something illegal. You know what I mean? And I have a cousin. He's in like IT. He does like little commercials for Microsoft and something else. But he says, man, it doesn't matter how much money you make or what you drive and how you look. They still gonna look at you like that out there in Arizona. So I just really believe maybe he just decided, look, I'm not gonna fall into how they see me or how whatever, and he just decided to start hanging with white people. And maybe he found the right group that treated him right. I don't know, but I don't think it was something about what he could do for them, because they wasn't paying college football player, college athletes back then when he was going to school, college.
I'm gonna call it what it is. If somebody hates people simply because they're white, that's racial prejudice. That is not racism, because racism involves systems that you can use to control the outcome of a person's existence, a person's life. You can interrupt their life by punching that racism card, right? You could play that race card and affect their life. For example, we have a system of racism in America where white people can call the police on a black person, and it doesn't even matter if the black person is innocent or guilty. The police will automatically show up and assume that the black person is guilty. And sometimes it's not even assumptions. It's just that we automatically are on default to go after the black person and treat that person with more aggression. And they know that. That is racism. Tatum don't have that type of power. He can't call the police on a white person and the police show up in 3-4 cars and jump out and immediately attack the white person. Immediately start cuffing the white person. Immediately start looking at the white person like they're the victim. You know, I mean, looking at the white person like they're the innocent person, and he can't do that. He don't have that type of power. So when I hear people of all backgrounds say stuff like black people, well, you're racist, cannot be racist. Black people cannot be racist in America. A black person in Nigeria could be racist against a white person because they're the ruling class, right? I'm not going to soften this whole, I'm not going to soften my commentary because this dude is admitting that at one point he was a racist and he's no longer that. Here's the deal. What he's describing is his past. If we're going to criticize dude fairly, we shouldn't automatically claim those are his beliefs today, right? The interesting story is the transformation, the alleged transformation. Somebody who once viewed race through an extremely hostile lens now regularly argues against what he sees as racial victimhood and race-based politics. On the flip side, you have white people who say they used to be racist toward black people and they're no longer like that. But they're not arguing about racial victimhood, and they're not arguing about race-based politics in regards that, well, in association with black people having some type of power. When they speak on it, they speak on it about, you know, they speak on the current power structure and how it is used, you know, to subjugate and, you know, oppress black people. See, people can overcorrect sometimes. And this is what I surmised that Tatum did. He overcorrected. He was like, well, I no longer see white people this way, but now I'm going to turn my angst toward the black community. And so because I was raised in a way where I grew up to hate white people, now what is the opposite of that? Okay, so now, you know, because I did that to white people, now I feel some type of shame, and I feel that I have to correct that. I feel that I have to do something about that.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you know, shout out to Willie D, man. But me, I think, where is it at? Let's do that. Okay, there we go. Me, shout out to Willie D, man, for bringing that to us. But like, you know, you're gonna have people like that, and there's nothing you can do about it. You know, there's nothing you can actually do about it, and you know, and you just kind of like ignore that stuff. But this man has like a big platform with like over 1 million followers. You know what I'm saying? The majority of his followers are, you know what I'm saying, Caucasian people, or you know, people that's don't like blacks. You know what I mean? You have you have some of his followers are blacks and feel the same way he do. And then, you know, you just kind of gotta overlook it because we all gotta try to manage to make it in this world. You know, there's gonna be a lot of people out here that don't like us. You know, despise it, just want to do something to us. But all we gotta do is just keep living, look out for ourselves and our families. Now, you can do that sometimes, but this guy right here, you know, he's very everything that he puts out, you know, it is being shown everywhere on all platforms. So like I had just wasn't paying attention to him until it got to the point where, you know, brother lost me when he said all black people are ignorant, except for the ones that he grew up with. except for his family members. All black people are ignorant. And then he started bashing Nolan Wells' mom. And brother just lost me then. You know, I'm like, man, no sympathy, not even a little bit for this lady that just lost her child. Are you serious, my brother? What is wrong with you? That's where he lost me. So, you know, he has this lady. Her name is I can't remember. I'm gonna murder her last name is Teslin Figaro or something like that. So I'm just gonna say Tez. You know who I'm talking about. And if not, man, y'all can go online. I will show her a video or something or her Instagram online. You can go and check her out. Very smart, very beautiful, intelligent lady. I think she's studying to be an attorney. He calls her ghetto. So she's been putting it out there on all platforms, everywhere, telling him, I would like to have a debate. I would like to sit down and debate you on this Nolan Wells case, the Anthony Carmelo case, and whatever else you got in mind, sir. I would like to sit down and debate you. And I can show you, or we can show the world basically who's the ghetto and who's the ignorant one. Cause I believe she gonna tear him up, man. She gonna tear his ass out the frame if he would ever agree to it. She's waiting on it, and she putting it down anytime, anywhere. You can wake up one morning out of the blue, just wake up in the middle of the night and decide you want to debate me. I'm there. I'm gonna go back and show one of her little posts again where she is challenging this man to the and he won't do it. He's afraid of it because he knows. But yet and still, he'll get online and just find these little small content creators and just bash them. Ignorant, ghetto. You know what I'm saying? It's always a black woman if y'all notice that. Yeah, I don't know about any black man that he said anything about except for D.L. Hughley. And the reason why he said something to D.L. Hughley is because D.L. Hughley, he exposed his wife. And sir, I gotta tell you, sir, I really do have to tell you this, Brandon Tatum. Your wife does not even stand close to Michelle Obama. I don't know what would make you think or what would make you want to say that. He says that his wife looks better than Michelle Obama. I'm sorry, sir. I mean, that may be in your eyes, brother, but man, you are clearly wrong about that. And I really wish you would accept that lady's debate challenge. And man, if I could get there, if I could be, if they did it somewhere in a hotel lobby or something where I can be there, I don't give a damn if it's in England. I want to go. I want to be front and center, man, because I want to be able to see this lady just get all in that man shit because he deserves it, man. He really does for the things that he said. He basically turned around and told the E guy, if y'all remember, the barbershop guy from Ocean Springs. He said, "Man, I apologize to Nolan Wells' mom, the family. I won't say nothing else bad about him." And I think that lasted for about a week. I'm gonna say I'm gonna give him 2 weeks. I think it lasted for about 2 weeks, and he was back on his shit again. So that's what I'm saying. I would really want you, man. I want you to debate that lady, man. Take her up on her offer, man, so she can just tear your ass out the frame. Because brother, you need it, man. You need it. You'll pick on these small content creators and call them ghetto. When you called her ghetto, she said, "Hey, let's do a debate on this Nolan Wells and Carmelo Anthony thing," and you have yet to respond because you know better. That lady, she's studying to be a law student. She's an activist, and she's something else she does, man. But I'm gonna put her IG up, man. Y'all should go check her out, man. She's a really smart, intelligent lady, and she's ready to debate this guy, and he won't do it. Let me go to this other thing I found on here too. I mean, I appreciate you guys rocking with me. I'm gonna play my little video again at the end where I got the little tank tops made for the females, and I got the guys' little apparel coming too. But I want y'all to put it down in the comments. Let me know what y'all think about those tank tops for the females that I have out right now. Well, it's kind of like still in the making. But yeah, shout out. I appreciate you guys rocking with me. Let me see. I wanted to look at something else as well. I want to say rest in peace to Nolan Wells too, man. Just rest in peace, Nolan Wells. And I want to kind of go over. I want to go over the other little. They said it was some. What was that? They said, damn, I can't even think now. It was, I think, the lady down in Florida, man. She was shot by a police officer, I believe. And I was trying to look into that, man. But like I said last night, my eye was bothering. I went to the doctor eye doctor this morning, man. They just told me that thing about that nerve in my eye. I didn't even know anything about it. But some nerve in your eye, man, if it gets too much sunlight, it irritates it. And then it make your eye turn red and feel like it's something in there. And that's what mine was doing. I thought I had pink eye, but I didn't. I never knew anything about that. I guess what happens with old age, as you get older, things like that start happening. Let's see. Oh, I want to see this one too, man. Shout out to Willie D again. He said it was a black Trump supporter attacked at a Trump rally, man. Let's check this out. This is crazy, man. This stuff that's going on. Like it's starting to turn racial now, because you know what I'm saying. There's a black man that's supporting Trump. You know what I'm saying, and his own people that that he's supposed to be allies with, they jumping on him. So they turning it. It's turning racial.
Family. Imagine the irony of a black man showing up at a Trump rally, wearing Trump gear, selling Trump gear. He's standing alongside people who he presumably considered to be political allies.
Right.
Then, next thing you know, ding, ding, fries and shake, he's getting the brakes beat off him. Yeah, fam. This is a dated video, but check it out.
Well, a bumpy start to former President Donald Trump's rally in Saginaw. This is video taken outside the venue hours before he got there. The nonprofit Michigan Advance reports that the people involved were vendors selling Trump memorabilia.
Wait a minute, it looked like the black dude was jumping on him too. Hold up. Let's see.
Dude got the dated video.
It looked like the black dude was fighting him too.
This is a dated video, but check it out.
Well, a bumpy start to former President Donald Trump's rally in Saginaw. This is video taken outside the venue hours before he got there. The nonprofit Michigan Advance reports that the people involved were vendors selling Trump memorabilia.
That's crazy.
Y'all see that, fam? Dude got the brakes beat off of him. Selling Trump. Let's watch it again without the sound. Let's see. Let's check this. I just got to show you this. Look at this. Notice what happens after he gets up and it looks like he's getting the best of Buddy. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. There they go. Police to the rescue. It is absolutely amazing how they do that. It is amazing how they come to other folks' defense after black people start winning the fight. I've seen it time and time again where there's a confrontation between a black person and somebody else, usually a white person, and people just stand around with their hands folded, their arms folded, and they will do nothing. They'll watch the action. And if the white person starts getting the best of the black person, they still just stepping back, just watching the action. The moment the black person get the edge, they running in to try to break it up. One of the police officers wasn't doing nothing at all, but just standing watching the action. Like he just watching it like it's nothing. And then you had another one who came out of nowhere to get in the mix. What's that about? All you Trump supporters out there, you black ones, y'all feel safe? Y'all really feel safe at a Trump rally?
Saying.
Now, this guy was, this is allegedly supposed to be a fight between some vendors. So it's not a situation where they were attacking him simply because he's black, right? At least it didn't seem obvious. It looked like it was some type of vendor disagreement. However, once the fight took off, the racial element immediately came into play. Because who did the police run right to? Police made a beeline to the black dude and got him, snatched him. All of the other people who were watching, all of those other Trump supporters who were just watching the fight when the white dude was on top of the black dude beating the brakes off of him, they did nothing. But the moment the black dude got the edge, here they come, breaking the fight up. So see, fam, this is why we always say it's about race. No matter how you try to cut it.
Well, I don't know, the police thing, maybe so, but still, you know what I mean? They're at a rally where they're both Trump supporters and they break out fighting like that. You know what I mean? Instead of them trying to work things out, because they both, I guess they're doing the same thing. They vendors. You know what I'm saying? They trying to sell their little merch. Instead of trying to work some things out, they go swinging on each other. And no matter how you see it, man, it's always a black white thing. I think that if Buddy, if it was two white guys, they probably would have worked it out. You know what I'm saying? They probably would have worked it out. But I bet you somebody threw in a racial slur, and that's probably what caused that little feud. I guarantee you. It's turning into, no matter what happens, no matter what goes on, it's always turning into a race thing. It always does. And it's sad, man. You know what I mean? Like, I seen the post that Plies made the other day, and he was like, I remember 30, 25, 30 years ago. I gotta find that post, but I gotta find it and repost it and put it on one of my lives, man. Shout out to Plies. But I remember he said I remember 25, 30 years ago, you know, they didn't want to come out and express how they truly felt about us, because they was worried about how people would see them. But he said nowadays it's cool. You know what I'm saying? It's all right. They said once somebody touched the waters and said, "Hey, ain't nothing gonna happen to me," then that's when everything the floodgates open with it. So I mean, it's out there. I mean, every time I open up my social media, it's something about some white person saying the end, calling, with the hard ER, with the hard ER, with the hard ER, and then you see the black folks going off, knocking them out. It's something. You know what I mean? You see that on social media, like almost. I ain't gonna say almost. I'm gonna say every day. You see something every day about that. You cannot go on any social media platform and go through your timeline without seeing something racial. I don't care if you just looking strictly at Christian, you know, stuff, religion. I'm pretty sure you're gonna find it in religion too. Be some black folks walking into a white church or leaving the church and pull out their phone like, we came to this church and this is how we was treated. You know what I mean? It'll be something. So it doesn't matter what you look at, man. You're gonna always run into something racial. You're gonna always run into something racial, man. It's like the new normal. It's the new norm, and it's crazy, man. It's actually scary too. Because you see a lot of these white men coming on these platforms saying that there is gonna be this race war is coming and we're preparing ourselves. You know, I've seen a few of them too. You know, it's sad, man. It's really sad. And, you know, a lot of people do blame this current president. They blame this current president for this stuff. Whether it is his fault or it isn't. You know, he has said some things on here like, you know, to kind of make people feel like it's okay. But whether it is his fault or it isn't, man, it seems like it's the new norm nowadays. And people are coming out being those type of people, and you like, damn, I didn't even expect that. You remember when what was the dude on Kramer on Seinfeld, man? Everybody used to watch Seinfeld, man. I used to watch Seinfeld. And then he made his little comment on that comedy stage. And you know, it's like he got pushed out. Nobody wanted to support Seinfeld no more. You know, nobody really wanted to talk to him no more. You know, had nothing to do with. But shit, now, man, these boys come out and say something, man, and they getting praised for it. Look at these guys in Ocean Springs. Those kids in Ocean Springs. What if they did have something to do, allegedly? What if they did have something to do with this? And y'all are funding their Give Send Go with well over $100,000. It's like it's okay to be that way nowadays. I want to look at Chris Como. Shout out to Chris Como. I want to look at his live today, where he interviewed, I believe, Bart's attorney. We're gonna check that out, and then I'm gonna run that video back, man, with my tank tops on there, man, for the ladies. Ladies, if y'all like them, let me know. If I need to do a little bit more tweaking to them, let me know. You know, just put it down in the comments. Or you can follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is down there. Follow me on Instagram, man, and put in my, you know, send me a DM. Tell me you don't like them, you love them, or they should be this way, they should be that way. I just want to know. I want to know before I just start putting them out, because it's like a rough draft. Shout out to Mike Hustle for making the t-shirts. Like I said, they're tank tops. You know, we started making them for the ladies, supporting the show. And I just, you know, follow me on Instagram or put in the comments if you think they ass or they look good or I need to do something else to them. You know what I'm saying? Just let me know. But I will play that at the end of my show, end of this live. And y'all can let me know how y'all see it, man. So let's watch Chris Como right fast. I want to check that out. He's interviewing Bart's attorney again. Let's check this out.
It just happens to be the odd man out, the black guy who doesn't come back. This is not as simple as that. There were hundreds of people where they went. Somebody saw something. Somebody may have seen everything. And the investigators may well know who that person is. But is it Bart Edmiston? Was Bart on that boat helping or hurting? And how do we know? Did Bart know the young lady that may have been with Nolan Wells? Was he jealous? Those pictures you've seen, are they accurate? Are they fair? That audio you've heard, is there a basis? What does Bart Edmiston say about that? that audio. What does he say? Now you will know. Here is his counsel, Russell Latino, who is representing Bart Edmiston Jr., 21 years old, knew Nolan Wells, was part of that group of boats and friends that went from the coast of Mississippi out to Horn Island together. That is all true. He knew Nolan Wells. He was part of that group. But which part and what happened? Here's what we know. Counsel, thank you for joining us once again. And just to be clear with the audience, Russ Latino, real last name, Italian, sounds Latino. I thought it was a marketing ploy. He says no, but it works a lot of different ways. Counsel, thank you for taking the opportunity.
Yeah, thanks for having me back. All it literally means is somebody that speaks Latin, which, as you well know, originated in Rome. So it's a commoner's last name. Also happens to be the word associated with an entire.
Hey, somebody said he looked like the guy for Family Guy. Looks like the dad, man. I think he looked like the dude off of Popeye, that cartoon where he's like, "You give me a hamburger, I'll gladly pay you tomorrow." He looked just like that. I think his name was Wimpy.
Our ethnic group, so it's confusing.
It works a lot of different ways. Let's leave it as that. It's adaptable. So before we go broad, let's go narrow. Is there anything new in terms of your client and your pursuits?
No, I mean, look, we're monitoring the things that are being said across social media. I think in the next week, there'll be additional activity around some of the accounts that have sort of driven some of the most, what we believe are egregious narratives around my client. Yeah, so let me back up and just clarify when we say the boat, that could be confusing to some people. I mean, there were hundreds of boats that were out near Horn Island that day, hundreds of people that were out on Horn Island that day celebrating the 4th of July. It's a big holiday weekend. Within a sort of confederacy of friends, there were 3 boats that went out. One of them was piloted by my client, who piloted the boat out and then back to his house. At no point was Nolan Wells, the young man who tragically lost his life, on my client's boat. Around 4:30 that afternoon, one of the boats experienced some problems with its bilge pump and started taking on water. One of the individuals on that boat called my client and asked for help. He proceeded to give help, in part by getting on the transom of the boat and helping to remove the plug at the back of the transom of that boat. For people that don't boat, that may not make, that may not be something they understand. But literally, they were just opening up a hole so water would drain out, is the short way of saying this. And then my client got back on the boat that he was piloting and towed the other vessel for a short distance, allowing that water to run off.
So let's go there, because that's what a podcast is about, is depth. This is completely irrelevant to the events surrounding Nolan Wells, except for this. If Brad, in quotes, or Bart, in quotes, or Billy, in quotes, because your client is referred to by multiple different names, not by you, not by him, but by people on the internet. Sure. If he was not killing Nolan Wells, what else was he doing? This is what we understand. Why would you pull the plug out of a boat? Wouldn't that make it sink? No, depends on the configuration of the hull and the placement of the plug, because sometimes, especially with smaller boats, if they're taking on water, let's say from 20 people drinking beers sitting on the back of it at a party, it can overwhelm a bilge pump that is old, not properly maintained, or has a float switch that gets stuck. And any of those things can happen, and you are in a bad position. However, if you know what you're doing, you can pull the plug and then drag the boat so that it goes fast enough that it rises above the level of where the hole is. So instead of allowing water to come in, it allows water to drain out. And then you put the plug back in nice and quick, and you don't have water in the boat anymore, but you do have to address the bilge pump, which you do at a later time. That is an operation that a lot of boaters know, a lot of boaters can do, and that is the involvement that you are saying, counsel, your client had on that boat as it was leaving.
Yeah, that's correct. And the end result.
Are you impressed that I nailed it, by the way? Are you impressed that
Yeah,
I
I want to know
nailed
who
it.
you've been talking to. Are you a voter?
I am a Coast Guard captain, certified, and I have been talking to all of these different people and families and people close to the investigation. And a lot of this is new vocabulary, new vernacular. A lot of people see this story very one dimensional. Mississippi, racist, one black kid, a lot of white kids, the system protecting, and none of this boating stuff makes sense. The boat wasn't sinking. That's a lie to cover a murder. I understand boating differently. I understand investigating differently. I know the operation you're talking about. It is absolutely plausible that this is what was going on. And there are multiple witnesses who say this is exactly what they witnessed going
Well,
on.
and let's be very clear about the multiple witnesses, because I think there have been some narratives set based on pictures that are not accurate. So very early on, the narrative that was set was we had one picture with Nolan and three friends that are white on the back of a boat. And I think a lot of people developed the thought, okay, four friends went out on a boat together.
3 came back.
Only 3 came back, and they went to some desolate place. The reality is they went to a place with hundreds of people. There were way more than 4 friends. It was a mixed race group. So it wasn't just that Nolan was the only black friend in the group.
Which explains some of the pictures out there of mostly white party goers with a black guy, and they just assume if it's a black guy, it must be Nolan. He was the only one. The pictures are not accurate. They're not even, some of them are not even from that day. And you're saying that your client says Nolan was not the only black guy.
Well, I don't know that my client is saying that. I think a lot of witnesses are saying that. I think Trayston Shepard, who is black, has said that he was.
I want y'all to think about this though. Just think about this. Like all them other boys that was out there or close to it, they've all came out and did all these crazy interviews, you know, people were poking holes in it and all this stuff. But we've yet to hear from Bart. We hear from his attorney, but we haven't heard anything from Bart. And usually, you know, when you are like, I'm gonna say guilty or maybe had something to do with some type of bad activity, almost allegedly to say that, you know, your lawyers usually tend to tell you, STFU, don't be out here, you know, stay out of light. Don't say nothing. Don't make no comments whatsoever. But everybody else has. You know, I really feel like they know what happened, and that's why they're so comfortable in coming out and talking like that. But this guy hasn't said anything. His lawyer has, but he hasn't.
Out there. I think Javon Williams, who is black, has said that he was out there as part of that group. And look, I want to be very careful not to name people who haven't already inserted themselves by talking to media, because this is a witch hunt. I mean, at this point, any name that comes out, people assume that person is a new culpable suspect. But both of those gentlemen have chosen to talk about what happened while they were out there and to make the point that Nolan was, in fact, not the only black friend in that group.
Understood.
I say all that to say that there have been narratives set throughout this discussion that are false narratives and that have allowed people to develop a perception of what Horn Island would have looked like or what Nolan would have experienced that is in no way accurate.
Understood. Why you're proffering that and consistent with what I understand of the investigation. Now, have to say, frustrating. The unknown is very powerful as a narrative device, especially within the true crime space, maybe uniquely so. The investigators, since the initial, what I say, in my opinion, was the wrong way to come out of the box in this situation, after that, they have said almost nothing because it's all being presented to a grand jury. That level of secrecy is rare, but is righteous. That's how it should be until the grand jury figures out whether it's going to hand up an indictment or not. And then the investigators have more of a clear path.
So, yeah, maybe that is fair. Keep don't put what you have or whatever the investigation. Don't share with the public, but not telling the family, the mother, anything. Like I said, man, I'm pretty sure that woman, man, God, just be with her. She probably got so many gray hairs now, just wondering what happened to her son. And they won't tell her nothing. You know what I'm saying? They just talking about, we'll let the grand jury decide or whatever they want to say. But at least, share it with the family. And I mean, you could tell them and just like, hey, just don't. We're gonna tell you what we got. Just don't release it to the public. Man, she could maybe it'll give her some relief if they say, all right, well, it was an accident, or yeah, we feel like somebody has somebody was involved in unaliving your son. At least she would know something. But just leaving her in the dark like that, that's not right. Because if it was the other way around, they would want to know. And anybody in here that has children, you would feel the same way.
As do anybody who wants a FOIA request or to get more information. So that is a semi-secretive proceeding. The fact that nothing's coming out is not necessarily suspicious. The early indication, I think, triggered a lot of people. I think rightly so, especially Nolan Wells' family. But that's my opinion. I put it to the side. Germane to your case or your concern, that conversation from the sweetened audio where there's one voice calling Cito, I have an account, we've got a little problem. Kid doesn't sound panicked, is very pro forma, saying he has an account because they charge you different things if you have an account or if you don't. And then there is a background conversation which sounds terrible. Sounds like there's blaming and about Nolan waking up, and Nolan may well be there by the nature of this conversation.
Cito Assistance, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our village pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership.
All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles? Hello?
Hey.
Yes. How far is the water coming up, sir?
It's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. Like we're going down.
What is your position on the veracity of that sweetened audio?
So let me address a few things that you said there, and then I certainly will address the audio. There were more than 20 people between those two boats that witnessed what happened between those two boats that were on those vessels. There are, in fact, pictures of who was on those vessels and video of who was on those vessels. There were also a lot of people that were in the water. Like when we're talking about the aid that my client provided to the distressed vessel, it wasn't way out in the water. It literally was while they were still anchored next to Horn Island. So
Understood.
you're talking about dozens of people that saw what happened there.
Understood, which makes sense because an experienced boater, which these kids are, they go to the island all the time, they fish all the time, they're around boats. You don't take off if you're taking on water. You try to figure out what it is and what to do about it before you leave. I mean, I've been in exactly that position. It makes sense that it would have happened while they were still stationed.
So, and so let's also, as we talk about the audio, acknowledge what you said about why investigations stay quiet the way that they do. Because I actually think the audio is a great example of why investigations stay quiet. That audio gets released by the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources. A version of it, it's not clear that was the original audio. And then people take it and try and pick it apart. So you have mentioned enhanced audio and different.
And we already know that is the original audio. Just people just cut, enhanced it so we can hear what was going on in the background. Everybody knows, except for I guess him, that this is the original audio. And I'm gonna tell you something too. I'm gonna let this dude talk.
Things that people have heard. It's worth noting that there's been more than one source of quote unquote enhanced audio. That audio appears in different lengths. That different forensic experts have said that there are quote unquote artifacts that were added to the enhanced audio. That music was removed from the enhanced audio. And so all of those things should create a degree of skepticism. The other thing that I would say is that if you listen to even the enhanced audio, and News Nation had a guy on recently, Robert Freed, who talked about this, who is an audio expert. If you listen to it without the transcript that some people have put on top of it, even the enhanced audio is garbled mess. And so what I would say is, you probably are aware of this. There's all sorts of scientific research on this about the way the human brain processes and offers preference to certain types of input. There's a visual input preference over an auditory input preference. There was a famous experiment done around this, Chris, where two groups of people were put into separate rooms with a noise that didn't say anything. And they were told, one group was said that the noise was the word green needle, or words green needle, and the other was told that it was the word brainstorm. And they got put back together, and they both swore vehemently that they had heard either green needle or brainstorm because they had that visual cue. So I think there's a reason that reputable outlets have chosen not to run enhanced audio, because if you're a reputable outlet, you try to figure out who put this together. Did they start with the original so that we know it wasn't corrupted from the beginning? Is there evidence of corruption that we can detect? Are the links the same? Does that person have bias? These are the questions you'd want to know before you put something in front of people with a written transcript that tells them what they should be hearing, and then allow it to mislead people. We put zero stock in enhanced audio, quote unquote, enhanced audio. And I think that there's a reason that reputable outlets, and candidly, a lot of reputable audio experts, are saying that people shouldn't either.
Now, just like everything else, sometimes it's good, sometimes it isn't. I've seen multiple versions. The one that is getting the most traction is a Black female who seems to be well-versed in audio editing, and she goes into great detail of what she did, and then it has this background conversation. I have used sweetened audio or audio sweeteners, not just for simple editing purposes here, because obviously my voice is near perfect, but in making things clearer in audio. For example, there is an infamous/famous recording of one-time Trump attorney/bagman/confidant Michael Cohen having a conversation with then citizen Donald Trump about certain payments to certain women. And we used audio sweetening to bring out the voices. It can be done. It can be done forensically. It can be done well. Here is the good news. It doesn't matter about anything that I'm saying, or frankly, counsel is saying up until this point. Does your client say he was part of a conversation on that boat about what was done to Nolan Wells and what kind of situation Nolan Wells was in?
No, I mean, we have been vehement that Nolan Wells was never on my client's boat, that my client never saw Nolan Wells on anybody else's boat, that my client has no idea the circumstances that led to Nolan Wells' death, that he did not cause or contribute the circumstances that led to Nolan Wells' death. And look, the family has also been very clear that they understand the tremendous grief that Nolan Wells' parents are experiencing.
Wait a minute. I don't think he answered the question. Or did he answer the question? Because he went into other thing. I think Como asked him, was he involved in anything, to have him in this conversation, to have his name brought up in this, and this man I think he said no. I think this attorney just said no. And we can clearly hear it. I'm gonna tell you what I heard in that call. But I know I clearly heard, damn it, Bart. So did everybody else. Let's see what this man said.
Forensically, it can be done well. Here is the good news. It doesn't matter about anything that I'm saying, or frankly, counsel is saying up until this point. Does your client say he was part of a conversation on that boat about what was done to Nolan Wells and what kind of situation Nolan Wells was in?
No, I mean, we have been vehement.
Okay, so he asked him, was he part of a conversation about what was done to Nolan Wells? I mean, really, he should have asked him, was he a part of that conversation? Why did they say his name like that? Why is his attorney not clearing that up? Like, well, why did the girl say, damn it, Bart? Did he tell you why the girl said, damn it, Bart? We all want to know why the girl said, damn it, Bart, don't we? I know I do.
That Nolan Wells was never on my client's boat, and my client never saw Nolan Wells on anybody else's boat, that my client has no idea the circumstances that led to Nolan Wells' death, that he did not cause or contribute to the circumstances that led to Nolan Wells' death. And look, the family has also been very clear that they understand.
That's all fine and dandy, sir, but why did the girl say, damn it, or whoever said, damn it, Bart? I don't know if it was the girl or the guy. Why did she say, or why did they say that? What was going on for them to say that? Damn it, Bart, what was happening?
Tremendous grief that Nolan Wells' parents are experiencing, that the Ocean Springs community is experiencing, candidly, that his friends are experiencing. And they understand the demand for answers. They understand why this process has to be done thoroughly, why investigators have to turn over every rock. And to that end, I would just tell you that certainly in the case of my client, and certainly in the case of some of these other young men, based on conversations that I've had, they cooperated fully with authorities from the very beginning of this process. I think the only thing that my client and others have asked for is not to arrive at a verdict in a way that is pre-drawn, but instead to wait on facts and evidence before you convict someone in a court of public opinion, because the consequence of that is that you're ruining people's reputations. The consequence of that is that you're subjecting people to actual physical threats and violence. And that's not the way that our system should work.
Has it slowed down? How is your client handling it?
I would tell you that, he's a 21-year-old, kid's the wrong word, because I know that's a grown man, but you can remember being 21.
He is a physically grown man. He is not an emotionally or cognitively grown man. I've got one at home.
Grown man.
In fact, I've got two at home.
Don't
one
slip
male,
down.
one
Play
female
that,
in that age range. I see them as children within the eyes of the law, obviously adults.
Right. And I'm not suggesting that's not true, but I am suggesting that you and I both remember what it was like to be 21. And this is devastating. Now, I will say to his credit, I think this would be devastating to somebody that's 45 or 60 to have these kind of accusations being bandied about without evidence. To his credit, he is an incredibly mature, candidly wise young man.
Well, this kind of situation makes you grow up fast. But just for the benefit of the audience, as a simple colloquy, you just stated there were multiple witnesses to attest to this one way or the other. Your client was not on a boat with Nolan Wells. He knew Nolan Wells. He was not with him. When your client got on the boat to help, Nolan Wells was not there. True?
That's correct.
Your client was not present when anything happened to Nolan Wells. Is that true?
Yes.
Your client was never part of a conversation where other people were panicked about what had happened to Nolan Wells.
That's correct.
And no one saw your client with Nolan Wells while the boat was leaving.
Yeah, I mean, certainly not to my knowledge. I can tell you that he wasn't with him. Well,
So then it doesn't really matter what the sweetened audio says unless there was another guy with the same name as your client who was on that boat at a different time. Other than that, because the CETO call is happening while he's there. So unless it's patched together from different moments, your suggestion is it cannot be accurate.
Yeah, I will just say again that my client had nothing to do with the death of Nolan Wells, has no knowledge of the circumstances of Nolan's death, and it was no way involved in covering up or concealing any information that would be relevant to investigators figuring out what happened to Nolan.
Have the investigators come back to your client?
He's talked to the investigators. I'm not sure what you mean by come back to him.
Like, have they had follow-up questions for him on more than one occasion after they asked for his initial statement and cooperation?
Yeah, I think he talked to different sets of investigators. And I want to be very careful that I don't insert my own speculation. But my appreciation is that he's talked to different sets of investigators. As an example, the DMR form that shows that he was identified as one of the two boat owners which has been misinterpreted by some people. He let DMR officers onto the boat to take the GPS and all of that. Those would be investigators that would be separate from the Jackson County Sheriff's Office.
Mm. Does your client remember the last time he saw Nolan Wells at the event? Obviously, he knew he was part of the group, even though he wasn't with him specifically because it was multiple people, multiple boats. Does he remember the last time he saw him there?
Yeah.
He's asking him all these questions, but why is he not asking the question that everybody wants to know? Can your client explain to us or explain to Como why somebody was saying, damn it, Bart? Why is he not asking them that? And why hasn't that been explained? They're always saying that he was nowhere near Nolan. He didn't have nothing to do. He's not explaining this and this and that. Why did somebody say his name like that? I can't even remember if it was a girl or a boy that said, damn it, Bart. If I'm remembering, it was a girl. No, it was a dude that said it.
What I would say on that is he has told me that he did see Nolan that day, but that they really didn't interact that day. One of the things to appreciate here is that my client is 21 years old. He did play football with Nolan Wells in high school, but he was 3 years older than Nolan. And so certainly my client would consider Nolan a friend, but it wasn't the same sort of level of relationship. They didn't go out there together that day.
Understood. And you do not have the same kind of liability that I do at News Nation or I do as a known entity as a lot of these other people. There's not a lot of pockets to tap. There aren't corporations attached. And to that end, what we're seeing with you, Mr. Latino, is kind of the new normal, which is I'm going to hire an attorney if I'm Bart or his parents. And I'm going to go after the people who are going after me, put them on notice to cease and desist their disparaging and defamatory comments. And if they don't, I will sue them for the same. That has been your approach. Has it changed the disposition? I know one account responded by saying basically, bring it on, as if they were welcoming of that. What is your assessment of the situation and in response to that?
Yeah, I would say that ultimately issues like this aren't going to get decided on Facebook, but in a court. I would say that same individual did actually take down all of the posts related to my client.
And I can confirm.
While simultaneously inviting us to bring it on. I would also, not that it's my job to give counsel to people who may be on the other side of us, but, those posts are going to be evidence. The post in which people talk about getting rich off of the fact that they're making defamatory comments end up as evidence.
Mm-hmm.
And I would suggest that it's evidence that federal judges probably won't look too kindly upon.
Yep. I think, it's all relevant. And of course, the shame is that this on certain levels doesn't make sense at this point. But that's because of all the layers that have been put on top of the unknown, in my assessment. Now, I am hearing from sources that I will protect.
Just to be honest, nothing makes sense. Even all those interviews, none of that stuff makes sense. But to be clear, I know one thing is clear. I mean, myself, I did not hear all the stuff that everybody claimed they heard or what was on that transcript. I'm going to be fair with that. I did not hear all that. I know I heard, oh my God, and I heard, damn it, Bart. And that's the only thing I heard. You know what I'm saying? I even tried to, I replayed it with the transcript. I didn't hear none of that stuff that was being said on that transcript. Oh, I did hear the beginning of it. Can we cover this up? I did hear that. And that sounded like an older lady, like an older woman's voice. That's what I heard. But all that other stuff I did not hear. But I know one thing for sure, that all those boys are talking like they're just confident that they can get away with something, or, they know for sure they didn't have nothing to do with anything. except for his client. You know what I'm saying? And he's probably telling his client to be quiet. Don't say nothing. Don't make comments for a good reason. And I'm telling you, man, I really feel like if I was like a part of that football program, if I had anything to do with that football program, I believe what college did he go to? I don't know. Anyways, I would just tell him like, look, you know, you're part of this investigation. I think you're gonna have to sit this season out. You know what I mean? Even if I really did need him, just to be sure that he really didn't have anything to do with it. You know what I mean? I would make him sit it out. And you know what? That could make if they knew or if he knows what happened, that may make him want to talk because he wants to play football. He wants to make daddy proud because I believe his daddy was a football player, if I'm not mistaken.
Close to the investigation, that the investigators do have more information from their autopsy, not the autopsy, the secondary one that was done by the family and their agents and representatives, which was, of course, going to be less conclusive, less helpful, frankly, than the initial one because certain things were removed and kept for later investigation, which is very normal. The suggestion that they took things and hid them so the family couldn't find things out, I see no basis for that. And certainly autopsies regularly collect tissue samples and other parts of the body for examination.
And so, you know, what I don't want to do, Chris, and I understand that in some ways you're trying to present things that could be exonerating. I don't want to be guilty of the same thing that I'm accusing other people.
I totally get it. You are trying to not be what you oppose, and you're respecting the process. I'm fine with that. I'm just saying I'm having it both ways. This is what I've heard. I can advance what information is out there, but I am, unlike many people in this space, very wary of context. Knowing that there is water in cavities in the body, I get what it's suggestive of. I get that it's consistent. I've seen this many, many, many times. It does not let me know conclusively what led to the water being in the body. That's what I'm saying. Similarly, the the blood alcohol content. Again, I could be drunk as a skunk and you could drown me. So now I have a very high blood level of alcohol, but I also didn't drown from being drunk. So you got to stay open. Very rarely is one piece of information dispositive of an analysis. And I believe that's where we are. And I get that they don't want more information to come out until they're ready to do it and to present it the way they want to. And I cannot question that, but for one thing, counsel, which is, again, outside the wheelhouse of your representation, but relevant to you as an officer of the court and as a citizen of the area. Coming out of the box hot, saying this is tragic, we have the body, we have no proof at this time of any foul play. There was no need to put that last part that way. They could have just said there was nothing obvious in our initial assessment of the body to explain what happened here. We are investigating. I think had they said it that way, this may not have escalated as quickly as it did.
So what I would say is I don't have the statement directly in front of me, but I think the statement was actually much closer to your version than the version that has been framed. My recollection is not that authorities ever came out and said there's just no foul play, point blank, the investigation is over.
They did not say it that way. You're right. They said
so
we don't have any evidence of foul play at this point.
But it's an ongoing investigation, right?
Right.
And so I think, you know, that's actually not uncommon in the sense that, like, you're able to examine a body and see that there aren't signs of defensive wounds and things of that nature. I understand your point, which is people interpret it one way. It became a narrative as to, did these folks jump to a conclusion too fast? Well, what I would tell you is this, and I just want to reiterate. I think that people have every right to be skeptical. I think people have every right to have opinions about the quality of an investigation. I would say that a learned opinion would wait to see what the investigation actually uncovered. but people have the right to have those opinions. I think where it gets dangerous is when you presuppose a verdict, when you presuppose that certain people are culpable. So I don't fault anybody for asking hard questions. I do think that we're living in a society, Chris, where it is much easier to let our ADHD or our attention deficit get the better of us because we feel entitled to answers. Like something gets us fired up as citizens, and we immediately feel entitled to answers. His family's entitled to answers. The people in the community are entitled to answers. There should be transparency.
Now I believe it's the reverse. You've got to have transparency. You've got to let people into not the investigative process, of course, but we have to err on the side of transparency. And now you have a revenue model that is based on speculation. I have no problem with curiosity. I have no problem with people saying, oh, this Russ Latino, man, he answers everything like a lawyer. I don't know. I don't know that I trust him. That's okay. That's a fair opinion. Lawyers are a little cagey. You can feel that way about it. And I don't like that Bart isn't speaking for himself. Okay. And I don't know that I believe I heard something. It's all good. It's all fair game. There is a line that no longer exists, which was, yeah, but you're saying something as a matter of fact that is really just an opinion and is based on something that isn't true, that you know isn't true. That is now a common consideration. And it is all over the place. I believe it's actually, believe this or not, Russ, this will be hard for you because this is your world. It's better here than it is in politics. It's better here. You've got a better shot at defending yourself here than you do in politics.
Yeah, and that may very well be true. And also, I could care less if somebody looks at me and says he's a lawyer, so I'm not going to trust him. People can say whatever they want. I care an awful lot about the process being legitimate. I care an awful lot about the things that I think have made this country great. And, we talked about this on your program, but we're celebrating 250 years. And Chris, if I'm honest, I'm worried about whether or not we get another 250. Because a lot of the bedrock concepts that I think did make this country great, if you're talking about the rule of law, if you're talking about the presumption of innocence, if you're talking about due process, those things are being dramatically eroded by a culture that wants answers now, or that sees things like this, a tragedy like this, as a game or a form of entertainment or a way to make money. And I just worry about our ability to persist as a culture if adults like you, candidly, don't step up and say, there's got to be nuanced thought. These things have to be based on evidence. We can't jump to these kinds of conclusions and ruin people's lives. I've said this from the get-go before I ever was contacted by anybody about this case as a lawyer, that look, if there was foul play, somebody needs to be held accountable. I just don't think you start with that assumption and then crucify people.
Yes, I do. We differ on this, that I believe the way the initial statement they put out, I don't think was worded the right way. I think it could have been done a different way. Now, this is stylistic, yes, but I think it had an emotional impact on members of the community, specifically the family, and probably a significant number of other Black folks. Why? Well, there's another layer to this. I haven't even said the word yet. Mississippi. And you're from there. You take it a certain way. It's personal to you. It's bothersome to you. As someone not from Mississippi, been there many times, covered things that's happened there many times, you have an overlay of, oh, yeah, the Black guy. You flip it, and there's one white guy who goes out with a bunch of Black guys. Forget it. It'd be all over the place. But now people are wrong to want to know what happened. There's a lot to this that becomes a burden on the system, but also just proof of watching it. The overlay, the cultural overlay of this is Mississippi. If you flip the color ratio, everybody would be taking it seriously. But now everybody's being too sensitive. That's not fair, especially in this place and with this population. And that is really all that matters, is what happens when that grand jury makes its final assessment.
I think that the idea of submitting this to the grand jury. I think Angel has, the DA here has a protocol where she submits every death that is not a natural cause death, a car wreck, a heart attack, to a grand jury, in part because she wants to be sure that this is a process of integrity. And so I do think a lot of people are probably reading into that. I wouldn't read much into that either direction.
Yeah, look, ordinarily, I started off as one of them. Why? Because a prosecutor is supposed to have a good faith basis for thinking there may be probable cause in going to a grand jury. If you were to have a dispositive finding that this was a drowning or an accident or whatever, then you don't have a good faith belief that there's probable cause. Then I learned that this DA goes with pretty much everything that doesn't scream heart attack or old age home. And I get it that you're right. It doesn't mean anything one way or the other, but it does mean that the normal process is not being subverted.
Yeah, no, I think she's following the same protocol and treating this case the same way she treats every case.
And, we'll see. They're not quick processes, but it shouldn't take forever. And I think the sooner that there are answers, the better in this. And as I said to you before, and I will say it again, you are welcome to this platform for any significant advances in your understanding in your case. And I appreciate you taking this opportunity.
I mean, I'm a shout out to the Como dude. This is crazy. Like, this attorney, I don't know what he's on, but I'm gonna tell you like this. I'm one of them. I'm proud to say I don't care. I'm one of them. I haven't got paid not one red cent off of none of my laws. I think I've done like 7 of these. I've done a few videos. I haven't got paid one red cent. I'm really just wanting to know what happened. What's the truth? And then he goes into talking about, the racism thing. They didn't bring racism in it because they hired uh Ben Crump and Al Sharpton. What it was is they know of the situations in the past that didn't happen in Mississippi. That doesn't mean that they're saying, "Oh, this is racist." It's 3 white guys and 1 black guy. They didn't put it like that. They said that they know how it's been in the past, dealing with these types of situations. Because like I said, it was so many like people found in a tree, and they come back and say suicide. And also you have that coroner or that medical examiner, you could say. It's a proven fact that whenever it comes down to situations like this, she always rules it as a black person either taking their own life or undetermined. And they got a petition out to get her fired. So we know that. That's a proven fact that she's always done that. And on my side, this is the way I see it. Like I said, I haven't got paid, and I run with red cent. I'm not looking for money. I'm trying to find out the truth. I want to keep talking about it to keep this up open. Just because if people stop talking about it, it's gonna die down, and we'll never know. But my thing is like that CETO call. I'm gonna start with that first. That CETO call. Now, like I said before, I didn't hear all that other stuff. Even if I just looked at the transcript, and people say, "Yeah, I could see." I didn't hear that. I know I heard, "Can we cover this up?" And I heard, "Oh my God," and I heard, "Damn it, Bart." For which he didn't even ask this attorney, why did somebody holler out, "Damn it, Bart"? What was going on? I mean, it could be as simple as, well, maybe he pulled the plug out too early, or he put it back in too late. It was, simple. If it's very simple, it can be answered. If it's nothing criminal behind it, if it wasn't, if they didn't, if they said it for that reason, but that nobody has came out and said that. Those boys there, and if you see that call, they made that call, and they're sitting up there just like he said, they were calm and relaxed. I don't know why they made that call. And then if you know, if you look at the picture, nobody has on life jackets. If they're so concerned about this boat going down, wouldn't they be prepared? Wouldn't they have on life jackets already just in case? You know, it doesn't make sense to me. It does not. And another thing that doesn't make sense to me is why did they keep the body parts? Why did they ship the whole, all his body to Washington except for the throat, and I believe it was maybe some lung. I don't know if they got the lung, but I know the throat was missing. Everybody knows that. It's all out. Why would they keep that if they didn't find anything? Are they trying to hide something, or did they find something? We don't know. And I feel like they're really trying to just just add on more hurt to Nolan's mom, the family, because they won't tell her nothing. I think the reason being is because she hired Ben Crump and got um Reverend Al, to be the activist. I really think that. And it's messed up that they would sit there and not tell this lady anything. Like I said, they can tell her, they can say, look, this is what we found, this is what we know so far, but please do not share this with anyone. We're telling you this to kind of, put your mind. They ain't telling this lady nothing. And that's not right. And that's it. Now look at these two men right here. If they were there and if there was their children, if there was their children, man, they would be on every platform every time of the day, you know what I'm saying? Just trying to get this thing done, trying to get these people to talk. And they know they would. But see, they're not concerned. I'm not gonna say they're not concerned because Nolan's black. They're not concerned because it's not their kid. This world, just people are just always worried about themselves nowadays. If you just think about it, it's always just me, what can I get? Instead of trying to help somebody else, everybody's looking out for me. You know, Ply said it the best. And I bring up the stats, bring up the post he made again. 25, 30 years ago, it wasn't about, people was worried about being known as racist people. You know, they would keep it under wraps because they didn't want to be labeled that. But now it's just like the norm. I guess this lady, man, that lady is probably, man, her the daddy, he ain't got no gray hair. He bald headed, but I know that lady is probably full of gray hairs, man. Why would y'all want to just keep her in suspense like that? Keep her wondering why? Y'all gonna, and the thing about it is, it'll really be messed up if they turn around and just keep her in the dark for this long to turn around and tell her that they did not find anything. Those boys, they talking like a monk. They done what, 2 interviews? They've done that. Warren did it by himself, and then the last two was done with the three boys, but the one that's not talking. And I feel like his lawyer is telling them to STFU for a good reason. Like I said, if it was somebody, maybe you should start a petition for him not to play this football season, man. Like if his name is tied up in this investigation, he should not be playing any type of sports. He shouldn't even be involved in it. And like I said, if I was a coach, I would tell him like, you gonna, you may be able to sit out. I'm gonna sit you out until this thing clears up. I don't care how bad we need you, but I'm gonna sit you out. I'm gonna put you on the bench just in case. And you know what? turns out that you didn't do anything, I'll try to make it up to you some kind of way. But right now, no, I don't think I want a player on my team that could be possibly involved in this of unaliving somebody. So I'm gonna let you sit out this season, or at least until this situation is done and over with. And you know what? One thing too, I thought about that. If they did do that, and if his dad is such this big wig in this little small town, what is he? Is he in Wisconsin or something like that? If they was to sit him out and not let him play any game, all he could do is practice. I know that, and his dad is a football player too. I know that would make him mad. So he would probably go up there and put pressure on them people if he knows that his son wasn't directly involved in anything. That would make that man, this big wig, this ex-football player, whatever he was, that hired the attorney, threatened to sue people. He probably would go up there and try to apply pressure to those DAs and investigators because it's actually interrupting his son's career. I think that would be a good thing, man. Maybe we should start a petition for that. But it's a reason why Mr. Bart is not speaking, and he just brought that up too. Chris Como did. Oh, it's okay. It is okay. He ain't got to say a daggone thing. He don't have to say nothing. But why are the other ones talking and he's not? And I feel like the judge, that former judge, shout out to, was it Carlos Moore? I feel like he is right on point. There are so many things that they can hold those boys for until they get answers. They were underage drinking. They were drinking and driving a boat. And then he also said, I didn't know, which I didn't know. He also said that the captain is responsible for all his passengers. They're supposed to be responsible for the safe travels to and from. You know what I'm saying? I don't know about when they get to where they going and they wander off, but they're supposed to be responsible for all their passengers. So that's a reason why they should be on Warren and Bart and whoever else was operating that other boat because it was supposed to be three of them. And why haven't we seen the video of them returning? Because we did see it. And I just seen this the other day. Shout out Nancy Grace. She put it out. The video of them actually getting ready to go out. But where's the video of them returning? Why hasn't that been put out? Why hasn't Bart said anything? Why did they keep the throat? And there's so many others. It's not making sense. And he agrees. Bart's attorney agrees. So does Chris Como or whatever Como. Those three and me are all in agreement. It's not making sense. And if y'all agree with me too, put it in the chat. Put it in the comments. Like this video right here. Subscribe to my channel. Become a part of the J Crew. Y'all do that if you agree with me. I haven't got paid not one red cent. I don't even have that many people in my live, as y'all can see. But I am still going. I'm going in. I'm going in. I'm making videos every day or every other day because I want to know. I want to know. I want to know what happened to him. because there's so much stuff that's not making sense. Like his Bart's attorney agrees with me, so does Como, and everybody else is in it. And all this stuff isn't making sense. Like I said, if y'all agree it's not making sense, put it down in the comments. Subscribe to my channel. Become a part of the J Crew. But if y'all want to go back, shout out to the Como. He got some Como Crime Time. It comes on Saturdays. But if y'all want to finish watching this little interview, y'all can. I believe he was done with it anyways, but with this attorney. But he just didn't ask the right question. I try to watch him all the time when he's interviewing this attorney. He's not asking the right question. I want to know, if your client didn't have anything to do with this, why was his name just clearly being shouted out in that call? What was going on? Did he not put the plug in right? Did he take it out too late, too early? I mean, if it was something innocent, that should be explained like very easily, right away. But they're not saying nothing about it. They're just asking him, your client was nowhere around when Nolan something was happening to Nolan. He didn't know Nolan. And you know what I'm saying? That's not what I want to know. I want to know, why was your client's name being shouted out like that? It's crazy, man. Just don't make sense. Why'd they keep the throat? Why they're not telling Nolan Wells' parents about the investigation? Well, we already know why that's not happening. They're mad about the Ben Crump that she hired him, but still, that's no reason for them to do that to that lady. Like I said, man, her hair is probably gray as a mug, and she probably just don't know what to do with herself, not getting sleep, man, because she's wondering what happened, and they won't tell her a damn thing. They could at least tell her. They don't have to tell us. Just tell her what's going on. All right, so I'm gonna get to this where they said that some of Nolan Wells' friends are trying to sue Reverend Al. So this came out last night, I believe. Check this out.
Developing tonight, a Pascagoula law firm says 3 friends of Nolan Wells plan to sue the Reverend Al Sharpton for defamation as Wells' death investigation continues. Taylor and Cox law firm said it would serve Reverend Sharpton with a 19-page pre-litigation defamation demand on behalf of 3 of Wells' friends. The firm claims Sharpton used a vigil as a platform to smear those friends. It says it will take legal action in 10 days if he does not apologize, retract, and delete his statements. Sharpton's law firm responded tonight saying that he welcomes the lawsuit and his attorneys will be in touch. Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann.
Yeah, we heard it's a post too that they made, but you know what? I was watching the bottom of this thing, and you know, at the beginning of my live, they was showing something about eggs. And now they got this thing right here. It says a massive egg recall. Let me see what this
Defamation demand on behalf of 3 of Wells' friends. The firm claims Sharpton used.
Now it says salmonella concerns. Well, we seen in the beginning of my live where they said they was making them eggs. That's crazy, man. It's going from meat to eggs. You know, it was one lady. I don't know if this is true or not. I don't know if this is really, really a true thing, but some lady was on TikTok, or it was Instagram. On Instagram, and she was digging out a microchip out of a steak. But you never know. You don't know. Maybe if she stuck it in there and then decided to make that video, we don't know if that's true or not. But if it is, that's messed up, man. That is messed up. So we watched that where they said they actually finna do that, and if he don't apologize, they gonna go forth with it. So here we go. As I showed in the beginning of this live, this is his response. And we heard him say it on at what was the little thing that they had of Nolan Wells? They had that at it wasn't the prayer rally, as we know it. That went on. Happy birthday to Nolan. That went on Wednesday, but it was something before that they was interviewing. Well, they had some kind of press conference, and Al Sharpton said the same thing he's saying right here. You know, hey, he'll welcome it because that's gonna make them talk. They have to go through depositions if they're gonna sue him. So that's what it says. Lawyers announced that they will be sending a demand letter to Al Sharpton on behalf of men connected to the Nolan Wells manor. Sharpton responds. This is his response. I welcome the lawsuit so that any person who is with Nolan Wells will be forced to answer questions under oath. Huh? So I wonder who's gonna back down. Who y'all think gonna back down? You really think Sharpton is gonna come back on this thing and come back on these platforms and apologize? I don't think so. He has nothing to apologize for. Nothing. He has no reason to apologize to these boys. So I really believe that they're gonna have to answer questions. If they want to sue Al Sharpton, they're gonna have to answer questions in depositions. So he says he welcomes it, and I don't believe that he's gonna back down and come back and apologize like they're expecting him to do. He's not gonna do that. He has no reason. He has no reason to apologize to them. No reason at all. So I want to play this little part that came from Nolan Wells' prayer rally. Cause I'm done. I'm through. I'm finna get off this bad boy. I've been on here for 3 hours. You know, I'm gonna play this one part that the Reverend Jamal Bryan said. Shout out to Reverend Jamal Bryan. Reverend Jamal Bryan. I'm gonna play this part, and I'm gonna get into my thoughts, and I'm gonna end it with that video with those tank tops. And I really want you guys to let me know what y'all think about those bad boys. I don't know what's going on with my comment section. Boys say it's not coming through. My boy, man, he always, every time I go online, my man is with me. He right there. Shout out to you, partner. I appreciate you, man. I don't care if I have 1-0. He gonna always be in there watching me, supporting me. And I appreciate you. That's my day one. I like that, man. Motherfucker sit there and support you, man. If nobody else will, I know it. That's a true friend indeed, for real. So just check this out, man.
One, if it was 5 black boys and 1 white boy on the boat. By now, there would have been an arrest, there would have been a warrant, there would have been a seizure, but because America doesn't believe that Black Lives Matter, they trying to act offended because we want to ask the question, what happened to our brother?
What happened?
And when we ask the question, what happened? The response is we're still gathering information. We're waiting on toxicology, waiting on the grand jury. Am I my brother's keeper? That's the question underneath every delayed subpoena, every sealed file, every complaint filed against a grieving mother's nursing license. Instead of asking whoever left her son on the island, the institutional Mississippi still muttering Kane's excuse, it's not my problem. I wanted to come to Mississippi today from Georgia to let the system and to let the establishment know, let that be the last time You try to intimidate a black mother. She's got every right to fight for her son, to stand for her son, to question her son. And you better not mess with her nurse's license. Leave that black woman alone. And I want them to know, if the dirt wouldn't be quiet, what makes you think the water's gonna be quiet? Because black people know something about coming through the water.
That's right.
I bet you $1,000,000 if it was found,
That's
if
what
it
he
was
said,
five
man.
black
Let me
boys.
get on up out of here. But that's exactly what he said, man. And he stand on it, and I stand with him. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure a lot of us black people, African Americans, do. So I'm finna get my thought on this situation again before I get up out of here. You know, I do want to say this. Well, let me just give my thought on the situation once again. You know, because we started out talking about this witness, right? So, young lady or whoever you are, lady, ma'am, whatever. But if you have a video of anything like that, any sort, of Nolan, somebody being confrontational with him, why would you hold that? Why? Because if it was your child, you would want that person to put it out or take it to authorities or take it straight to you so you can check it out and make sure that you know, it's of relevance, I guess I could say. Why would you sit there and say, I know what you did, and if you don't come forth, I'm going to the authorities? You should have been and done that, man. Like I said, it's like nobody cares no more. It's just about me, me, me. She should have been there. She got that video. Sort. I really hope she's not playing about that just to get the fame. But if she has some type of video showing certain things, holla at Ben Crump and his team or the family. I don't know about taking it to that sheriff though. I really don't, because they all in cahoots together. You know they are. They in that small town. And, those sheriffs have to go to her to get things signed. So they know each other. I'm pretty sure they go to little Christmas parties and things like that together. So I don't think I would take it to them. I would, try to holler at the family or, their attorney. So if you do have something like that, stop holding it, man, and go ahead and turn it in. Give it to the proper people. So I'm gonna say that. We went off on, so many things today. But I do want to, I want to say to me about the call, that Cito call. I, Me personally, I didn't hear a lot of stuff, but I did hear. Can we cover this up? Sounding like an adult lady. I heard, oh my God, which sounded like a young female. And I heard, can we cover this up? But I can't remember if that, I think it was I heard, damn it, Bart, excuse me. Damn it, Bart. But I think, yeah, that was done by a boy. So I didn't hear all that other stuff. I kept reading the transcript and listening to it, reading it, listening to it, but I just couldn't make out what everybody thinks or what she says. Maybe her audio is probably a lot clearer because she's doing it. But then when she puts it out there, it's not coming out clear to us. But a lot of people say that that's what they hear. But then also other people say they hear something totally different. So I don't know about that. I don't know about that. The Man, it's just it's so it's just so much. like those boys. You know, you don't know what to make of them. They're doing all these interviews. You know, they're talking. Everybody's poking holes in their stories. Shout out to Jay Megan. You know, she's doing a lot of this work. Some people are going through Chat GBT, you know, about the little motion that they seen in the boat, talking about it looks like a hand or a foot. You know what I mean? So we don't know what's going on, but I know they're doing a lot of talking. So my thing is, this is what I think. I think either they're confident that they can get away with something, or they know that their hands is clean as far as having something to do with him being unalived, but they know what happened and they just, you know, speaking out, trying to get ahead of the situation, but really it's just making it worse. But either that, because they're just talking too much. But like it's either that they trying to get ahead of the situation, or they feel like they're, you know, they're confident that they can get away with this whatever happened to them, or maybe they really don't know what happened. You know, you got to put that in too. Maybe they really don't. Maybe they really wasn't there. You don't know. That's what we're trying to find out. But we know one thing, you know, usually, like I said, usually when somebody is not speaking out, the attorney is speaking. He hasn't said not one thing. I don't believe he said anything except for he's getting, well, you know, the statements of where he's getting attorneys to try to quiet people. But he hasn't said one thing, and we know we talking about. He hasn't said one thing. His attorney, we just watched his attorney. We've seen his attorney on numerous platforms. But I don't understand why they won't ask. He gets on these platforms and nobody asks him, like, why did we hear your client's name being, you know, in this call? Damn it, Bart. What was it? I mean, if it's innocent, it's very simple. Well, they were saying that because he pulled the plug out too fast, or maybe he put it back in, or, you know, he missed the rope or something. If it was innocent, they should be able to explain that very easily. But nobody has explained why they said his name like that. I don't know, and he's not speaking, so we just don't know. But those boys are, and like I said, it's either they're confident they can get away with it, or maybe they didn't have nothing to do with it. Period. Maybe they wasn't there. They don't. I don't know why they're speaking so much, but they are talking, and everybody's poking holes in it. You know, his attorney was like, his attorney said, "Man, there's people out here just making these accusations, you know, just to get recognized or get paid, and you know this." Listen, man, I'm gonna tell you like this. When I've been doing this ever since. Well, I'm not gonna say ever since, but I think I started on the 7th. Started going live. I did it like every other day or every day, talking about this situation. I really want to know what happened. I haven't got paid one red cent. My lives, they don't have 28 and, you know, 202,000 people in it. You know, I barely even get maybe six, you know, if anything. I just want to know what happened. That's what I'm doing. I want to keep it out. I want to keep it fresh. I don't want people to forget about this and then, you know, start talking about something else and we'll never know what happened. I want his mother to know, you know, and if it was something bad, you know, something needs to be done. But that's what I really feel like they're waiting on. They're waiting for it's one of the two. They're waiting for something else to happen, or they're trying to cover something up. Because you know that they didn't send the throat to Washington. We don't know why that is. We don't know why they won't even share the information that they do have with the family. And I know, like I said, that lady's hair, she gotta probably be just gray headed like a mug. And she's so worried. She's sick. She's hurt. His birthday just passed, and she still don't know what happened to him. And it's been over a month, and they won't tell her nothing. And they just being like hateful, spiteful because she got Ben Crump and excuse me, Al Sharpton on her side. So they're being salty about that. I can understand them not telling us, the public, what happened, but at least share it with the family. Maybe that'll put her mind at ease a little bit. They don't care. They sit up there and talk about the man came. He came on. Um, the governor. The governor. Remember the governor? He came and did this press conference about the investigation, and he said, "Don't quote me on it, but I know I heard him say, so far we haven't found anything that looks like foul play." You know, so we're still, doing this, and I trust the DA, I trust the sheriff, I trust all the investigators. He said that, right? Now, this is what he said. Now we get these articles or people, the news coming out saying there's been 3 arrests and they're all behind death threats towards those boys and the judge. You know, they're like, everybody's, oh, poor them, poor them. I hate that they're going through this. I hate that. I hate that. You know, but not one time the governor, the DA, even the judge, they could have got online. You know what I'm saying? They could have got online and said something about the situations, the things that they're doing to this lady. Why come the governor of Mississippi can come do a press conference? Say, hey, we've been informed that Mrs. Walmsley, Nolan Wells' mom, has been getting these death threats, and we take that very serious. So whoever's doing it, they need to stop her. We're gonna find you. Nothing, nobody. The judge hasn't said anything. The sheriff hasn't came out. Nobody's came out in her defense. But the man sure did come out and say, well, so far we haven't found anything that looks like foul play. I trust the investigators. I trust the DA. Okay, so what? Nobody has this woman's back, and she's the one that's like she lost her child, and it's terrible, man. It's really, it's a damn shame. It really is, and they being salty because she hired Ben Crump and Al Sharpton. They don't want to share no evidence. They're gonna say, "Oh, we're gonna let the grand jury decide." At least tell us something. She don't have to tell the public. You could tell her, and just like, "Hey, keep it under wraps. Don't share this information. This is what we found, and this is what we're gonna come up. This is what's gonna happen. I'm taking this to the grand jury. I just want to tell you this to put your mind at ease." I'm pretty sure she would feel a lot better, and maybe have a little bit more trust in you guys. But Como and, hey, surprisingly, Bart's attorneys, I agree with him. It's just so much stuff going on. It doesn't make any sense. None of it makes sense. Not even what the boy said. None of this stuff makes sense. It really doesn't. I don't know, man. I hate it for her, man. My heart goes out to that woman. I really do. It really does. I hate it for her. 'Cause I know she, you've been, you've been around him or he's been around you for 19 years and then all of a sudden just one day it's gone. Certain things they used to do on certain days, you can't do it no more. And if she thinks about it, you know what I'm saying, she probably gets to breaking down. Even just maybe looking at a certain thing or just sitting in a certain place in the house, Nobody thinks about that until it's them, until it's their turn. Then everybody's supposed to have all eyes on them. That's why I say, man, I always try to treat people the way I want to be treated, man, because you just never know. You never know. The people that's doing this stuff and hiding, they know something. If something did happen to him, and the people that's hiding it or don't want to come up, speak out. You know what? One day, she may be the nurse that helped save your life or one of your family members' lives. So it's something you need to think about, you Mississippians. But hey, you know what, man? I don't know. It's terrible. It really is. I hate it, man, and my prayers go out to her. I pray for him every night, man. It's terrible. But rest in peace, Nolan Wells. But hey, I'm fixing to run this little thing on my. I'm getting off this live. I'm gonna play my little outro, I guess you could say, and I got some tank tops that I had made out. It's just a rough draft now, but it's some tank tops for the females. I had them done. Shout out to Mike Hussey, man. He does all my t-shirts and everything. Um, I'm in a car club. He does all the t-shirts for those and stuff like that. But I did a rough draft on these tank tops. I'm gonna do some. He got some the shirts for the men coming out next week. But mind you, now these are rough drafts. So if y'all look at them and tell me what y'all think. You know what I'm saying? If y'all hate them, if they ass, you know what I'm saying, or if you can tell me maybe what else I can put in the shirt to make it pop or something like that, just put it down in the comments. Or I'm on the gram. There's my gram at the bottom. You can just DM me and tell me what y'all think. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna go ahead and play this, man. I'm ending this live, and hopefully, man, something comes out. I will go back and talk about it. But if not, man, hey, you all have a great night. I appreciate y'all rocking with me. Stay safe, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Let me know. Put it down in the comments about these tank tops for the ladies. You know what I'm saying? If it's any ladies in here, if any men in here that's got females, you know what I'm saying? Let me know what y'all think. Would y'all buy them or they just straight trash, whatever? Because this is just a rough copy, but y'all have a good night. Stay safe, man, and I'll catch y'all on the next one.